to Backpacker Radio, presented by The Trek. I'm your co-host, Zach Badger Davis. Sitting to my right is...
Hi, I'm Juliana Chauncey, a.k.a. Chaunce.
Before getting to reminders, I think it'd be fun to do a little recap of our PCT Trail Days. This is our first sit-down since PCT Trail Days. I guess it hasn't been that long. But yeah, it was both an eventful and somehow relaxing 3 days.
Yeah, I'd put an asterisk there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was confusing because I felt worn down. Like when you went to go take your town walk and I was like, best of luck to you. I will be here laying on the couch. I'm talked out. Usually I would think for the level of not having a booth that we didn't have a booth, that I would still have energy.
Yeah.
But I think for AT Trail Days, I prepared better to not have energy, so I expected to have what little I had. Right. And this one, I was like, no booth. We're going to be cruising. And then when I didn't have energy, I was shocked.
I also think, we'll get into this, the proximity to Thunder Island made feeling restored and rejuvenated very difficult.
True. But that could go both ways because we were able to go home very quickly when we were done. Yeah.
What do we do at AT Trail Days at night? I think we're usually so tired that nothing. And it's usually a drive.
Well, there's not usually like a standard spot that everyone goes to. So we usually leave AT Trail Days at like 5.
Yeah, we go get dinner.
And get dinner
and then
somewhere.
Pass out. I think having such easy access to the game in town was a little bit too...
A common hub is dangerous.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's start at the top. Right out the gate, I didn't miss my flight.
No, that was mean. I forgot about that. Damn it. Did we already talk about that?
I think on Patreon.
Okay. Yeah, usually I'm very good at catching Zach's bad jokes. Like I'm pretty good at being like, that's not true. I'm not falling for it. Move on. Maybe it was because you booked our flight at 7 a.m. like a psychopath that I just wasn't awake yet. And I had 3 hours of sleep, so I've got to give myself credit there. But Zach had sent me a text as I was sitting down at our bar of choice saying, God, how did you word it? It was the way you worded it that caused more anxiety than what you said. You said...
I can dig this up.
I've got it too. We don't text that much. Forgot the podcast stuff at the house. The code to get in the house is 72625. Address is, insert address here, Cascade Locks. Be there at 6:30 p.m. And I'm on like my flight meds, like my brain's operating slowly. I'm tired. I've had 3 hours of sleep. And I read that and I just send back, OMG. And I'm like...
I was very happy when I got that text because I knew I got you. I had a feeling I was going to get you because it was a pretty good lie. And I am a frequent bullshitter, so...
Well, there's also a number of times you come to the podcast and you're like, I got to run back home. Like, that's happened more in this past calendar year than prior.
That's also not... Like, that's such a little thing.
No, but that's what made me believe it.
Yeah, right.
Like, because there's been a number of times in this past year where you've been like, I've got to switch the car with Jenna. Or I forgot something, just enough where it was, I could see him having done that. And so my brain at first is like, oh my God, he's going to miss the flight. I wasn't that concerned about that part for you. Like, he made your bed, lie in it. For me, it was more the part of the text on the second half of address is blank Cascade Locks, be there at 6:30. And so I'm like, okay, he's definitely running back. He's definitely pissed off and mad right now. So, like, not the best time to ask a bunch of questions, like, figure things out myself. You're also probably driving fast. So not a good time to text with more questions because I don't want to put you in an unsafe position. Like, this is the thought process in my head. And so my brain's like, he gave me the Cascade Locks address. That means he wants to meet me at Cascade Locks, which means he wants me to get to Cascade Locks from Portland, which means he wants me to pick up the rental car, but he didn't tell me the rental car info. So maybe he wants me to Uber. I'm not sure how far is an Uber from Portland to Cascade Locks. Like, this is literally the cycle in my brain as I'm texting Garrett being like, you'll never believe what happened. And so then I'm like, I didn't bring my glasses. I don't have my glasses. I'm on flight meds. It says not to operate vehicles. So realistically, I can't get this rental car. because I can't see if I'm driving at night, and I also probably shouldn't operate a vehicle, and it's probably not in my name. I don't even know our rental car reservation, so I guess I'll get an Uber. But what if this is like a $200 Uber? Is he willing to? Has he considered the price difference of his flight getting missed and him having to buy a new flight and me having to get this $200 Uber? I should just sit in the Portland airport and wait for him until 6:30. I'll let him know that in a few hours once he's not driving. And that was kind of where I ended in the brain. And then you showed up.
Yeah, hearing the chorus of your internal monologue makes it all worth it for me.
Yeah, I will give you it. You got me, so I will walk you through the mental havoc that you caused me.
Yeah.
Because you earned it.
Yeah. So pat on the back to me.
Yeah. Bullshitter
wins with some bullshitting. Didn't miss the flight, showed up. It was seeing your face when I like sat down across from you. So you're like,
I ordered a cup of tea. I didn't get food. I was sitting in this place. You got a mimosa and a nice meal. I got a cup of tea. And I was just sitting there like staring off into blank space, just with a cup of tea.
Yeah. Fast forward, get to Cascade Locks.
Yeah.
Try to get into our Airbnb. We're early, very early, so we can't get in. What else is there to do other than drink?
We recorded a Patreon.
Drinking was first, and that was very instrumental because we were basically across the street from Thunder Island Brewing. Cascade Locks is not a big town. I don't know what the population is, but it's got to be several dozens. It's not a big place. And yet the place that we found just so happened to be directly across the street from like the game in town. I mean, there's a few watering holes, but Thunder Island Brewing is on the main drag and massive. Also, side note, Thunder Island Brewing is new and massive. Like the last time I was there, it was a tiny little place right on the water. Yeah. And walking up to it, I'm like, I know I have a bad memory, but this feels wrong. Like this is not the place that I went to.
I had the same thought because I remembered going to Thunder Mountain and my brain remembered the layout of it and it being by the water and how it had the garage entrance and how I walked in and where the little coasters for the Trail of Magic was. And I'm already in a day of confusion, 3 hours of sleep. Zach was fucking with me. I'm just questioning everything. And we get inside and we were both just like, do you remember it looking like this?
Yeah, it was like a little quaint borderline dive bar. It's got like that brewery vibe. I don't know how you describe it, but it was small and not new.
Yeah.
And yeah, you walk into this place and it feels like it's like a chain brewery almost. Not that sounds bad, but it's nice and new.
It had 2 floors.
Yeah.
It's like how else do you describe it? It had 2 floors. The second floor had a balcony.
Yeah.
When I remembered it, it was like one of those giant garage door opens, connects inside space to outside space. Looks like a type of place that you could have dogs that just like go from one side of the inside to the outside, no problem. Like concrete floors, probably like. I don't know. Exactly what you're saying. It has had a facelift.
Yeah. And you could tell that they cater this to hikers, largely by some of the names of the beers. I had a couple of the Thru Hiker Hellas, I believe is the pronunciation. They had a Hiker Trash, which was like a co-branded thing with Six Moon Designs. I think there were a couple of others that were nods to hikers, but yeah, we sat there for a couple of hours till we could get in.
But on the flip side, they no longer do the coasters, which I was shocked to hear.
Yeah.
You could still buy a beer for a hiker and like do the pay it forward thing, but it was really fun when we hiked through to have the coaster. Like they had a sleeve of coasters on the wall that people would drop them in when they would buy the beer, and you'd pull it out to redeem it. And whoever bought the beer would have written like some sort of message on the coaster. And that was so fun. Like getting your coaster, it was like opening a fortune cookie.
Yeah.
And then finding your hiker friends and being like, what did your coaster say? What did your coaster say?
Yeah.
So I was surprised to see that they stopped doing the coasters.
It did seem like with the renovation, the rebuild, I should say, it became a little bit less hiker-centric despite the names of the beers. Because even when hikers started to funnel in on Thursday while we were there, they put them all in the side room and like saved the main space for the regular patrons, which I understand. Obviously, depending on where you are, having hikers in your establishment isn't always the greatest thing for business. But I don't remember it being that way when I was there 6 years ago, whatever it was. So got a few beers at Thunder Island, and then we decided we were buzzed enough that it would be fun to go record an impromptu Patreon episode.
Yep.
So we went and sat at the picnic table outside of our rental and did exactly that.
Basically just 30 minutes of Zach shitting on me.
Yeah, it was, I don't know what happened, but we were buzzed enough and we started getting kind of bickery.
Yeah, you got in a mood. You started calling me late all the time.
We're going to have to run back the tape. I think you were also dishing it.
Okay. I'm like willing to consider that could have been an option. I don't remember that part.
I usually don't fire off like that unprompted, but
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a spicy Patreon episode. We had good chuckles with
I made fun of your jeans, which was funny for other reasons.
Yeah. We can't talk about
We don't talk about that.
Yes. So to the Patreon episode, not much more to report. There was an event at Thunder Island, so we went back there later that night, yada, yada, yada. That was the night I think we were the best behaved.
Because the place was flooded with cops.
There was cops everywhere, popo everywhere, the alcohol monitors, and literally people walking around with guns. Yeah. For an event where there was like maybe 100 people in a large space, it felt a little overdone.
Yeah, I thought we were just like a bunch of kids in a sandbox playing limbo. But
yeah, which is funny. You don't see that much police presence at AT Trail Days where they need it. But yeah, we were back at the house, and I think I was asleep by maybe 10 o'clock.
We Irish goodbye at around 8.
Yeah.
It was funny because I went up to Travis because you were out of eyesight, and again, no glasses. But I was sitting next to Travis, and I was like, can you... Well, actually, we were standing next to each other because him being taller is important. But I was like, you with your height, can you see Zach anywhere out there at the moment? And I was like, he likes to Irish goodbye, and I just want to make sure I catch that train when it leaves. So if he's already Irish goodbyed, I want to know. And Travis was like, it's not... I can't just watch Zach for you all night. Like, I can't just watch Zach. I've got to do other stuff. Like, and I was like, I just want you to look right now. Just like a quick look. But he thought I meant, hey, can you watch Zach for the rest of the night and let me know when he leaves?
Can you monitor my co-host? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next day was busy day for sure.
Yes.
We had 3 interviews, one of them being the one that you're going to hear today, and amounted to be somewhere in the range of 5 to 6 hours of interviews.
Yeah.
Which by the end of it, my brain was scrambled eggs.
I mean, like, you can hear it when we put out Alina's episode.
Yeah.
But there's just times where we make eye contact and I just started giggling. I'm like, I don't know how to talk anymore. I'm sorry.
We're lucky that Elena is a good interviewee because I'm not sure the interviewers had their A game on that one, but you're really going to enjoy that episode next week.
Yeah.
Friday, we went back to Thunder Island. There's a theme for the trip here. Yeah. There was like a 45-minute wait to get seated, and we got very lucky because there was a couple in from Bend who we briefly interacted with on the stairs, saying that like a previous episode of ours helped them win some trivia contest. I don't recall the specifics of that, but she then saw that we were waiting in that 45-minute line to get a table. She's like, we have 2 extra seats at our table. Do you want to just sit down with us?
Yeah.
Which was awesome. Sat down, got to make a couple new friends there. And then, did more Thunder Island. Probably were there too late. I think woke up not feeling the freshest on Saturday, given that I don't think we left that place till close to 11.
It was the 4th beer that killed me, and I know that because I remember seeing it in front of me and being like, what is that? And you were like, it's yours. And I thought I didn't order that, but what am I to do? This is what happened in Wisconsin when you gave me the Bloody Mary. I can't just leave a full beer in front of me. I feel like I'm hurting someone by doing that. So I drank it.
For the record, I didn't order that for you.
I don't know who did. It wasn't me.
It was our
buddy,
a Marine friend, not Marine, Air Force, some military service.
Yeah. So we felt pain there.
You were chasing around a stray cat around.
Yeah, Zach's like, you're gonna feel so silly in the morning for chasing that cat.
What I said was, there's no way you're gonna remember this in the morning.
I was like, I absolutely will. It was so funny though because it went and it hid in a bush, and I went around the bush to try to see it, and I thought it would be crouched in little cat crouch pose, and it was flopped upside down like that, smiling.
Yeah.
And I thought you were the silliest little cat I've seen, and you told me I wasn't going to remember it, and I was like, I promise you I won't forget this.
You seemed in a state where memory was not to be banked upon.
Yeah, well.
Next day, I think waking up a little bit slower. I'm too old to be drinking craft beer. Like, more than 2 I'm going to wake up feeling slow the next day.
What did we do that morning?
That morning, we had another pair of interviews. You'll hear that one in a couple of weeks. which I thought also went very well.
That
All
did go
things
well.
considered, all of the conversations at PCT Days were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to you guys. But then we had our biggest break, not only in the day, but I would venture to say that was the most downtime we've ever had at a remote event ever.
1,000%.
And we didn't do anything productive with it.
You went for a walk.
I went for a walk, and I watched the Bears preseason game, which I was very excited for.
I curled into a ball.
Yeah. Yeah. There was something nice about it not being a road trip, which was partnered with a brand in which we make it very busy to make it enticing. There were very few obligations, and we took advantage of it.
I posted, I think, 3 stories the entire weekend.
Yeah.
Because the second I messaged you and I was like, who do we have to tag in the stories? And you were like, we don't. I was like, sick. No social media for me this weekend.
Yeah.
I haven't even made a post.
We did somewhere in the range of 7 to 8 hours worth of podcast material, and still it felt relaxed.
Yeah.
So pat on the back to us. But yeah, that ended up being a busy night. We did some rapid fire interviews. You'll hear that. But then we closed the whole thing with a Trek-centric happy hour.
Yes.
Invited some of our Trek pals, bloggers, James, our social media person, who you'll hear. Other people maybe, but that ended up being the happy hour was going to be like an hour or two of us just having casual beers with our people, and it escalated.
It turned into how many beers in the fridge can we finish?
Yeah.
So that we're not leaving them.
We made a drinking game out of geography trivia.
Yeah. So we did state cap. I'm better at state capitals. And did you play the world capitals?
No, James was the one representing
world capitals,
going against Dump Truck, who was his new.
Right. And I was going against James's girlfriend. Was it her?
You were going against Dump Truck's girlfriend, Snorkel.
She wasn't going for the.
Oh no, you were going against Dump Truck, wasn't it?
No, Dump Truck was on my team.
All right.
He was my cheerleader.
Anywho,
people were going against people. It was 1v1 on. First, we did state capitals, which is one of us someone named a state, and then the 2 of us playing had to say the capital, and everyone else that wasn't playing had to choose a side. And so if you were on the side that didn't get the answer first, you had to drink.
Yeah.
And then once we ran out of states, we moved on to world capitals, which Dump Truck is really good at. So he played that versus James.
He's a geography savant.
Yeah, it was incredible. He
knew the 3 capitals of South Africa. I didn't know South Africa had 3 capitals.
Me neither. I didn't know some of the countries they said were countries.
Yeah.
So it was just not my ball game. But it was funny that we were drinking more and then continuing to hear smart things happening around us.
Yeah. And shout out to that last crew that came in, because they're the reason that we ended up going out. I had every intention of being done, but they were adamant. Like, while we were playing the game, they're like, you're coming to the karaoke at the arcade bar. Like, you're doing this.
Yeah.
And he made me shake his hand. Like, he could tell I had flake on my face. But I shook his hand at that point. I was locked in. Then we meandered. So there's a new arcade bar on the main drag there. What did we determine? What's the name of that street?
It had those 3 words.
Yeah, never mind. We're never going to get that.
It's not an easy name.
Yeah. Meandered across the street over to the arcade bar, which had to have broken every fire code possible.
Had no windows.
No windows. It literally shoulder to shoulder in this tiny bar.
Hikers. It stunk.
It smelled so bad.
And it was hot. It was like you walk into a Planet Fitness sauna and you can't barely fit into the sauna because there's so many current hikers already in this Planet Fitness sauna.
It was cold and rainy outside, and the biggest contrast of walking into this place, it was like a sauna of ass. It literally smelled like a taint. It was
so bad.
It was really bad. Like most things smell oriented, you did adjust fairly quickly.
Well, we hung out in the hallway by the bathroom.
That's true. Yes.
We didn't even hang out in the bar. We went to the bathroom hallway in the back.
I think that was a tactical error because it didn't smell any better over there. It was just there was a little bit more space.
Well, what was funny is when we went in to get drinks and you had gone home to get the raincoat, that back half was empty because everyone was crowded in the front doing karaoke.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's go to the back half. It's empty. And we drag you to the back half and it's just as crowded.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes passed and so many more hikers came. And I was like, ooh, now it's just cramped. But the karaoke was fun.
Karaoke was fun.
Karaoke with 200 hikers in too small of a space is very fun.
Yeah. shout out to who was the gal who was adamant that I join for Skater Boy.
Are you talking about Snorkel? The one that was with Dump Truck?
No, it was somebody else.
The one that we did the segments with, which was Clumsy?
It wasn't Clumsy.
This was another girl?
Yeah. She had the story about getting swept down the creek.
Little Mermaid.
Yeah, Little Mermaid.
Jinx.
I think she was the one that was very adamant, but you can twist my arm hard enough to get me to do karaoke, but it's got to be in my cue zone. That's not
I said we should do tequila.
Yeah.
So we just stand there for a bit.
The idea of it's funny, but then you just make people watch you dance for 7 minutes,
yeah.
which is somehow more awkward.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, but yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that happened.
I had enough beers. I smoked a cigarette. I think it's been like 2 years since I've had a cigarette, so that was good. But yeah, I think that's the synopsis of the trip.
Yeah, went home, had to wake up the earliest of any day, except for the flying day, to fly. We left by 9 or 8:30.
Yeah, for me it was like
it was too early.
It was my normal wake up time.
Yeah, well, for me, I was not pleasant. I was not enjoying myself, which is still better than Snorkel and Dump Truck, who had to hike out the next morning.
I would rather hike out, I think, because after an hour or so, you've sweat out most of your hangover. We just were in a crowded airport, then in an airplane. It's just like not conducive to me.
I couldn't even drink my mimosa at breakfast.
Yeah. I felt surprisingly okay on Sunday. Tired, but okay.
You did go to bed before I did.
Yeah, so that was the trip. First PCT Trail Days for me. That was your second. Yep. You went when you hiked through, but definitely a good time. Awesome to see all the hikers and all of our other people in the community. I think we'll make it happen again next year.
Yeah, we had a good
married.
time.
Is it going to conflict?
I don't know. Is there a way to see when PCT Days is next year?
I don't know.
Okay, TBD.
Yeah, but yeah, had a great time. Thank you for everyone who said hi, participated in the podcast, or just anyone that we bumped elbows with.
It's not going to conflict. It'll be like the week or two before.
That's probably...
We can make it my Bachelorette themed. Bachelorette round 2. I'm sure I'll have done one by then.
We'll get a bunch of penis straws. And
yeah. Oh, yeah, wait, this could be fun.
Cool. Okay, let's get to our interview. First, we do have a few reminders. One is our New York City meetup.
Yeah.
I don't know how hard we have to plug this because there's already a lot of people going, but we do want our listeners to go. So if you're listening to this and you're free the evening of September 16th, this is going to be in Williamsburg. Spritzen House 33 is the name of the venue. Starts at 6 p.m. The link to register for the event is in the show notes. It's free. Going to the event is free. You have to pay for your own alcohol. But I think we're going to get close to capacity here. So if you're listening to this and you want to go, definitely register ASAP, Rocky.
Yeah, the Eventbrite is nothing but just a registration thing. You don't have to pay any money. But it does let us know how close to capacity we're getting, and God forbid we ever actually do get there. It's nice to have your name on a list.
Yeah.
It's the only list it's nice to have your name on.
It's true.
The other lists you wouldn't want your name on.
Very good point. Unless you're on Santa's list.
Right. That list is another good list.
Yeah,
Triple Crown of lists.
Joe list. Next is if you guys are fans of the podcast and you want to support us, patreon.com/backpackerradio. We do bonus content, as I mentioned. We did an impromptu episode from Trail Days, which I thought was spicy, and apparently I was an asshole.
No, I didn't say that.
So the people who are listening, I want feedback if I was an asshole. I'll apologize to Chance.
I didn't say that.
But I think that
I would never use those
it was
words.
jovial jabs.
It was all good fun.
Yeah.
Day hasn't come where I take anything you say seriously yet.
Yeah.
Other nice thing about Patreon is we've had our Patreon grow a little bit over the past year as we've added the bonus episodes. But the really nice thing about that is, like, obviously you're supporting the show by being a patron, but that allows us to do things like make an unhinged PCT Trail Days trip with no sponsor.
True.
That literally funds us to do that. So that's really nice. So thank you to our patrons. And if you're not on there yet and you need something to help convince you, we get to make extra trips and go see more people and interview better people. And not that the ones that we interview aren't good, but, you know, widen the pool of interviewees because of it.
That's a great point. The more we are listener supported, the less reliant we are on ads. So yeah, definitely gives us more
Big
freedom
Sawyer.
to do stuff. Big Sawyer. Big Sawyer puppeteering us. So we're always very appreciative of your guys' support. So thank you for that. And last but not least, this is kind of a half reminder, I guess, but we've got a fun announcement here in the works. We're teasing an announcement, but just keep your calendars open, Denver folk, for the holiday season, because we've got a fun thing up our sleeves. I know we've talked about things that don't come to fruition. This is already booked, so it's going to happen, but we just wanted to focus.
Should we tell them a day and nothing else?
I don't know the day.
I thought we picked the day.
We did. I just don't know what it is offhand.
I know it.
Okay, say it.
December 7th.
Nice.
It's I think it's December. It's my brother's birthday.
Okay.
So that's how my brain remembered it.
I didn't have a landmark.
Yeah, it's on our calendar.
Well, I'm saying I didn't have it handy here.
Yeah, it's December 7th.
Usually, I feel naked without my laptop. Using a phone, I feel like an imbecile.
Yeah. Well.
No shade. Okay, that's enough remindering. But yeah, Denver folks, 12/7. We're coming for you. All right, no more beating around the bush. Let's get right to our interview with Cam Bostock. Is that how I said it?
Bostock.
Bostock?
I don't know.
One of the two.
I think it's Bostock.
With Cam. We are joined by today's guest, Cam Bostock, is an adventurer based in Western Australia, where he's completed notable Australian long-distance trails like the Bibbulmun Track and Mundabiddi Trail.
Spot on.
Okay. In addition to the Te Aroha, and countless shorter backpacking trips and hiking trails, Cam is hiking the PCT this year and publishing daily videos to his 600,000 plus subscribers. Cam, thank you very much for joining us here on Backpacker Radio.
My absolute pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
So trail name, let's start there.
I don't have a trail name.
No?
Really?
You've been dodging them like the Matrix?
I kind of have been dodging them.
What are some of the options?
There's been plenty of recommendations. My trail family gave me the name Shakira because apparently when I walk, I wiggle the hips a lot.
Okay.
So that's probably the informal one that gets tossed around.
Yeah.
But I introduced myself as Cam.
Interesting. Okay. Why didn't you want Shakira?
I like that name. I just came in probably not wanting to get a trail name for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's not really a thing in Australia, I guess.
Sure.
So I've just owned it.
Yeah. What are some of the other ones that you dodged?
There's been a few like Aussie names like knife, like, Crocodile Dundee.
Oh yeah.
Someone wanted to call me Cold Brew because I like my iced coffees every morning. A few like that, but none are stuck.
Yeah. So as we learned from the intro, this is not your first backpacking trip. What was your intro into long distance backpacking?
Yeah, the Bibbulmun Track in Western Australia, which is my home state.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the pinnacle of hiking in almost all of Australia, I would say, but at least in Western Australia where I'm from. And so when I sort of dipped my toes into hiking in my early 20s, that was always the goal, to try and do that one day. It's about 650 miles, 1,000 kilometers. And yeah, I did it just after COVID hit, jumped on trail, went end to end with a mate of mine, and I was addicted to backpacking after that. It was such an incredible experience.
Yeah.
Where does it start and end, and like what are kind of for someone who knows of Australia as in I know the general shape of the continent?
Sure.
How would you describe this trail?
So it starts in Perth, which is the capital city of Western Australia, and it's a very isolated city on the west coast. So the opposite side to Melbourne, Sydney, places you might have heard of. And it traverses through the southwest of the country to a town called Albany on the south coast. Beautiful trail. It's very PCT-like in it that it's a lot of single track that's really well maintained, switchbacks up and down hills, that kind of thing. It's very flat, as with most of Australia. But some of the highlights are you walk through old growth forests, some of the biggest trees in the world, the south coast and the coast in general you walk along is just incredibly beautiful. So it's a really cool trail.
One of the many things that I know about Australia, the many, many things, is that all the animals are there to kill you.
Yeah.
You took my only Australia fact.
Sorry. What kind of wildlife do you see on this trail, and is it scary?
It's so funny that you say that because coming to America, it's so much scarier here with animals. There's bears and mountain lions. We don't have anything big that can hurt you.
We have like snakes and
in Australia.
Spiders.
We have snakes and spiders. Sure, we do. But
kangaroo will fuck you up, right?
They'll punch you.
They're not going to attack you though. They're not going to stalk you like a mountain lion. Yeah, it's funny. I always just run to Americans where it's way worse here as far as wildlife. But there are a lot of snakes and spiders. So like when I did the Bib track, I would see, at least a couple snakes, tiger snakes, dugites.
Tiger snakes.
Yeah.
What is a tiger snake?
It's just a big, long, black, deadly snake, and they're pretty common along the south part of the.
And you just see them.
You see them pretty often. Like I remember one day, towards the beginning, I saw probably 20 in a day, and some of them are, in 12 feet long. They're huge.
12 feet long, and you're seeing 20.
That's a tiger snake, yeah.
No.
So they're scary looking.
That's not.
And when you say deadly, does that mean if they bite you, you're donezo?
It would kill you if you don't get anti-venom, but there is anti-venom. So, you pop your sat phone and you get out of there.
Are they aggressive?
They're not aggressive, no, and they'll hear you coming.
Yeah.
I think rattles are probably more aggressive.
Okay.
So I'm more scared of rattles than I would be, tigers or dugites back home.
Yeah.
But I will say you do see them more often in Australia.
Do they coil up and like do the rattlesnake thing, or
they don't? No, if they hear you coming, they'll get out of there. Yeah. But sometimes they're just lying across the trail or whatever, so it's a bit sketchy.
Yeah.
I have a total tangent, but the word kangaroo made me think of it.
Yeah.
Have you seen the breakdancing video
of
the Olympics?
Oh,
of
God.
the Australian breakdancer.
This is too topical to ignore.
Yeah, she's iconic.
What do you think?
In a very bad way. Yeah. You're Reagan. Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Okay.
It's
No
embarrassing.
further comment?
Not really, no. I don't know why breakdance is in the Olympics in the first place.
Well,
I
it's
don't
not
know.
anymore.
I don't know how she was able to go.
I think if I was Australian, I would also be embarrassed. But from my perspective, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's just so funny.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
good thing
we have a
for the
laugh
world
about
to
it.
have.
We have a laugh
The
about
world needed Ray Gunn to go do that at that moment. I think
so.
she's a hero.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've seen videos of her breakdance outside of that performance, and she's actually she's all right.
Yeah.
But that was just a bit of a weird one.
Oh, I loved
The
everything.
one where she's flopping back and forth is
She's trying to be a tiger snake, I think, something like that.
They said she was imitating a
And
kangaroo.
oh right.
So that's why kangaroo.
I think she was
comes
trying to
up.
imitate a bunch of different Australian animals. It's a good idea in theory, but execution maybe not so much.
So on this hike, would you encounter a kangaroo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere. So there's tens of millions of kangaroos in Australia. They're everywhere. So you'd see kangaroos every single day.
What is protocol when you see one? Like, what are you supposed to do?
There's no protocol. Kangaroos aren't an issue whatsoever. Like you wouldn't run up and try and box one because it'd knock you out.
I've seen the video where that happens.
Exactly. So you've probably seen those viral clips. So you wouldn't go up to one or anything. But you'll see like herds of them where there's like 100 kangaroos just chilling in a field or in the bush, and they're never going to go near you. They're just going to run. Or there might be like deer here where you just walk past them. That's probably a good comparison. Like you're not going to worry about a deer attacking you. You wouldn't worry about a kangaroo attacking you.
Okay.
What happens if one's coming towards you? What are you supposed to do?
That wouldn't probably ever happen, but if it was like bounding towards you for whatever reason, you'd just jump out of the way, I guess, because you wouldn't want it to hit you.
Yeah, they look strong.
They look like they're on steroids.
The big greys and the big red kangaroos, they look like they're on steroids.
Yeah.
They're hefty.
Do they usually snatch up people's dogs? I'm just going off of that one video again.
Yeah, it's just a viral clip. It's not a thing.
Was that kangaroo trained to do this? Like, was this a stage? Is this like a Nathan for you?
I don't know what the context of that video was, but that's probably the only time I've ever heard of it happening.
Yeah.
This video is the kangaroo takes a dog?
You've never seen this video?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Oh my God, Chance. All right, ask a question while I pull this up.
What other animals? I know the other Australian animals I know are dingoes.
Yeah, there's no dingoes in the southwest there, but there's a lot of hikes I've done in Australia where I've seen dingoes.
Are they aggressive or are they just like coyotes?
They're like coyotes.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not going to probably come at you. They're more skittish. But, on the bib track, you see emus, which are like, big birds.
Zach hates them.
Hey, what do I hate?
Emus.
Emus.
And they're ostriches.
Ostriches are more so my beef. But
emus are, I guess, different ostriches, but pretty similar.
Yeah.
In the idea of them, but you see them a lot. They're the same as kangaroos. They're not going to come at you. They probably could cause some damage if they wanted to, though.
Interesting.
This is for Chance's eyes and will not be interesting
this is
to
great
podcasts.
Radio. Sorry, internet.
It's only 15 seconds, but it's important. So the kangaroo has got the dog. This guy goes up to the kangaroo, just gives him a quick jab to the face, and then walks away.
That guy looks so mad.
I think the kangaroo wasn't really expecting that. Yeah, it's an iconic video.
Oh my God.
Classic.
I can't believe you haven't seen that. I've seen it 100 times.
Consider me enlightened.
Yeah. More kangaroo questions. Oh shit. Stop that. Are kangaroos all over the country? Are they concentrated to? So they are like deer in that sense.
They're everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And there's a couple of types of kangaroos, and there's like some smaller variants like called wallabies, and you'll see them pretty much wherever you go, whether it's in the desert, in the mountains, in the forests, on the coast. There's like a famous beach on the south coast near where the Bibbulmun track ends, where the kangaroos like come down onto the beach, and you can drive onto the beach, and it's like super iconic.
Wow.
There's a lot of kangaroos. Yeah.
Is international people's fascination with kangaroos to you weird because they're so common for you?
It is 100%. But like, we talk to Americans here and we see a squirrel and we're super excited, or a deer. It's awesome. Like, we've seen a few black bears and it's the coolest thing in the universe. But like, we're hiking with a couple of Americans. Whenever we see a squirrel, there's a couple of Aussies in our group. We're like, oh my God, a squirrel. It's awesome. But they're like, like a ratty or whatever. They're pesty, right? So yeah, it's interesting how it works both ways. But honestly, my favorite animal in the world is a kangaroo. So I get it. Kangaroos are awesome.
They're very cool.
They're really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the season for the Bibbulmun track?
Spring's ideal. Yeah. So your fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's coming into the season now. All the thru hikers will be, prepping and getting on trail in the next month or two. Yeah.
How long does it typically take to do?
Yeah, so it's 650 miles. It's a really easy trail. I always tell people it's like the perfect beginner through hike because there's huts along the whole trek every 15 miles, every 10 to 15 miles. There's like an open air hut with bunks, picnic table, long drop toilet, pit toilet, and water. So it's very easy. You can walk big miles if you want, or you can go hut to hut. People probably take 6 to 8 weeks generally to walk it.
There's certain like trail shelters on the Appalachian Trail that
it's very similar, I think, to the AT in the shelters. Yeah.
But there's spots on the AT where like there's a bunch of snakes and the snakes go to the shelters, and I'm still just caught up on this 20 snakes a day, 12-foot snakes.
Yeah, we saw snakes in the hut sometimes. Whoa. You just kind of like get the broom and shoo them out, and there's spiders everywhere. It's true, but like no one gets bit or anything like that as long as you're sort of aware.
You guys seem very brave.
Yeah.
What's the deadliest spider you would encounter on this hike?
There's like redback spiders, probably one of the more common ones you'd see that can kill you. They're really small, but they're nasty looking. There's also a ton of spiders that are not deadly that you'll see more commonly than the deadly ones, and you freak out, but nothing to worry about too much. That's a redback.
Do you think you have a higher tolerance for bugs and insects coming from Australia than someone
possibly I still get creeped out when a moth lands on my face when I'm cowboy camping or something, but I guess I'm probably used to it more. I'd say snakes and reptiles I'm more used to, so when I see a rattle I'm not freaking out, whereas some people might. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I think the US is scarier with the wildlife in general than Australia.
That's interesting.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
Yeah.
So is the Bibbulmun track, is this a really popular thing? Like, will you ever encounter a situation where one of these huts is full?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some of them can only probably host 10 people in a night. Some of them maybe 30. And they'll fill up. And a lot of people do overnight or, sort of couple-day backpacking trips. So often they'll be pretty busy. And the trail is picking up in popularity. Like, a lot of internationals come over for it now. And still mostly Aussies for sure. I don't know how many per year, maybe 500 to 1,000 through hikers per year. So not PCT levels, but it definitely can get busy. Yeah.
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 What's the culture of long distance backpacking in Australia compared to what you've experienced here on the PCT?
Yeah, it's so different. It's so wildly different. There's no trail names for one. And even stuff like trail families aren't as, it's not like someone goes onto the bib track and looking for a trail family. Usually you go with people or you just walk it by yourself. But I would say it's been Americanized slowly, which I think is a good thing because through hiking culture here is so, there's so much history to it and it's really cool. And things like trail magic's not really a thing on the bib track. Maybe someone will do a food drop for you or give you a ride. Hitchhiking's not huge. So it's very different. It's probably more isolating and a bit more of a less social experience, I would say. But there's not the trails like you guys have here. Like the bib track's pretty much the longest trail in Australia. There's another one that's about 700 miles, but it's not like a huge cultural thing.
When you say there's not as much hitchhiking, is this trail going through towns that you would resupply in?
Yeah, it walks through towns more often than the PCT does. I think there's about eight or nine trail towns over the 650 miles, and they all pretty much walk directly through the town.
Oh, okay.
So resupplying, like you wouldn't really send packages, or you wouldn't really get food drops very often. You just resupply every 4 or 5 days in one of the towns.
What does the food for a resupply look like in Australia versus here? Where are there differences?
I think a lot more people have like dehydrated meals in Australia for some reason. I think it's because it's just a shorter trail, and so people can afford it, and that's just easier, and you can buy them everywhere. Whereas here, everyone's trying to just eat ramen and rice every meal. So it's definitely a bit different.
What about Vegemite?
Yeah, I bring Vegemite on trail.
Yeah?
I love it. Yeah.
Have you had it before, Chance?
No.
It's funny, we found some Vegemite in... Oh, no, we didn't find some. We stayed with an Australian in Ashland like a couple of weeks ago, and she had Vegemite in the fridge, which was awesome. So we were able to feed some to Emma, who's an American with us, and she loved it, actually.
She liked it?
She really liked it.
When you get Americans to try it, what's the percentage in which that they do? Because
it's mostly they hate it.
Yeah, that's the camp that I fell into.
Yeah, it's mostly that they hate it. But I think you got to do it right. Like you can't have too much Vegemite. It's an acquired taste for one, and you don't want to overdo it. So if you have a thick spread on a piece of toast, you're gonna hate it. Even I'd hate that. Yeah.
In Australia, when are people introduced to Vegemite? Is this something that people are given to kids, or is this like, okay?
Yeah, you grow up with Vegemite. Like you'd eat, whatever, jam on toast. You'd have Vegemite on toast as a 3-year-old. Yeah. And
for somebody that is listening and that's not familiar with Vegemite, describe it.
It's very salty, like, how do you explain Vegemite?
That was salty was the word I was going to go
with.
Yeah,
so it's a weird taste. It definitely is a weird acquired taste. Yeah. It's quite salty. Yeah. Yeah. It's nothing like...
It looks like Nutella, but not chocolate.
Yeah.
It's like in one of those jars.
Yeah. It's black. It doesn't taste like Nutella, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think that was the thing that threw me off is I just knew it was a unique flavor, but I didn't know what the flavor was. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was expecting Nutella, and like it couldn't be more different than Nutella.
It's pretty much the opposite. Yeah. I wish you sold it here. I'd bring it on trail.
Yeah. So you said that you had it on trail here on the PCT?
We just had it in Ashland for like a breakfast because we had a Trail Angel that had some, but other than that, no.
Aside from the trail cultural differences, like you mentioned, people form hiking families out here. What other cultural differences have you noticed between Australia and America, like trail aside?
Yeah, it's been wild, and it's a lot of differences. And most Australians would expect a certain thing coming to America just based on media portrayals and that kind of thing. Yeah. And I mean, for me, it has been further than the truth. There's just so much generosity and kindness here that I wasn't expecting. So that's a big one, mainly because people just don't know about thru hiking in Australia. And if you live near the PCT, you know the PCT, and most people would just want to support and champion people that are on the trail. So that's been cool. Just meeting so many epic people that are just, want nothing in return. They just want to help you. You wouldn't probably see that in Australia as much, which is a bit, it's a bit sucky. Like I'm inspired to go home now and be like a trail angel and do trail magic on the bib track and try and stoke that up a bit, because it's just been one of the best parts of the PCT for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you choose the PCT?
Yeah, the PCT, I mean, it's so iconic, right? And so I did pretty much all the hikes I could close to home over the last few years, and the PCT has always been that hike that I wanted to do. You see people hike it and watch documentaries on YouTube and that kind of stuff, and it's the pinnacle of thru hiking, at least from my lens. And so it's always just been about when I'm going to do it rather than, if I will. And it just worked out this year that it was going to work. So yeah, you just hear so many good things about it, the landscapes and the trail quality and the people, and had to do it.
I want to obviously dive deeper into the PCT, but I also want to learn about, I don't think we've talked about the Munda Biddy Trail. Mm-hmm. What's the distance on this one?
That's also about 650 miles. It's actually a mountain biking trail. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I rode that in 2021. It kind of parallels the Bibbulmun track, actually. Starts in Perth, ends in Albany, very similarly, but it's like a bikepacking trail, but it's all off-road, a lot of gravel and mountain biking and hills and that kind of thing. It's really fun. I love that. Yeah. Love that experience a lot. There's also huts along the trail, and you go through forests and coast, and it's super beautiful. And Bikepacking's, I don't know if you guys done much bikepacking, but
it's popular in our community, but
Yeah.
Chance and I are not partakers.
Not there
yeah,
yet.
I love it because of just how much distance you can travel
Yeah.
in a day. The best thing about hiking is you can go to places that you wouldn't be able to get to with a car or a bike, but you can go places with a bike that you can't get with a car either, and you get to see so much more because you travel so much further. And the Mondabidi that's one that people come from other countries to ride, because I believe it's the longest mountain biking trail of its kind in the world, and so it's quite a big deal in that world. Yeah.
Less snake attacks too, being on a bike.
It's funny. I got a snake tried to
Oh, really?
get at me
Was
when
it
I
one
was
of these?
riding.
What was the black snake?
I think it was
tiger
a
snake?
Jugat. A Jugat, if I remember correctly, had a go at me while I was pedaling. So
no.
they're still around, but I think it's less likely to get bit.
I feel like I would have an irrational fear of it getting stuck in like the spokes of the bike, and
Yeah.
just, like, it spinning with
That could
you
happen.
and not being able to get away from
That
it.
could totally happen.
Yeah.
And I almost hit a kangaroo, like bounding across the trail while I was riding, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I haven't had any serious issues up until this point, luckily.
Okay.
What other Australian adventures are on your bucket list, on your radar?
Yeah, I've done a lot already that I want to do. There's a trail on the east coast called the Australian Alps Walking Track, which is about 500 miles, I believe, which goes through some of the only alpine areas in Australia. So that's a big backpacking trip I want to do sometime in the next year. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Australian Triple Crown that they're talking about recently, but that's one of the three.
Yeah. Is this a recent thing?
I don't know. I think there was like an article written. It's not really a thing.
Okay.
It's just
Yeah.
It's one of the three big trails we have. Yeah.
One of our writers, who's actually based here, I think he just is doing his university in Australia, wrote an article for us recently about the
Right,
Australia
that's the
Triple
one
Crown.
I saw. I think.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of it before that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I scroll through Far Out sometimes. This is a self-sabotaging thing to do, but when you're having a really hard day at work and you just scroll
There's
through
too many
Far
on
Out
there,
to see
yeah.
like what's out there. There's a lot of Australian ones now.
Yeah, it's getting built out.
Yeah.
There is quite a few. Yeah, there's nothing obviously as long as the PCT, but like the Triple Crown in Australia, all three of them together is less than the PCT, I think. So I'd love to have a long trail like this, but there's plenty of backpacking trips to be had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have any that go through the middle of Australia?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's one incredible trail called the Larapinta, which is right smack bang in the middle of Australia. There's a mountain range there, and that's one of the best hikes in Australia, I would say. Yeah, it's how long is it? About 170 miles. So maybe a 10-day trip. But it's so unique because you're out in the desert and then you're walking through gorges and there's actually water out there and all kinds of unique animals and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Imagine the winter, your guys' summer is not the time to do that one, right?
No, definitely not. Yeah, our winter is the time for that trail.
Yeah.
It actually gets like below freezing in winter out there, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I would wake up with frost in my tent and stuff when I did it. But the summer's brutal in the desert. Yeah.
If I'm someone who likes the idea of doing a hike in Australia.
Do you like the idea?
I like the idea of it. It sounds great when you talk about them.
Sure.
But I'm immediately out when we had that snake chat.
Yeah.
Is there a trail that is more suited for someone like me, or is it like that all around the entire country?
There's going to be snakes everywhere. Yeah. There's going to be deadly snakes everywhere.
Okay.
But there's deadly snakes on the PCT.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say to people who are interested, don't let that stop you because it's probably not going to be an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Probably not, Johns.
Yeah, probably.
I have a note here that you did 4 days on a stand-up paddleboard.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Jeez, I did. Yeah, I'm kind of into stand-up paddleboard touring. So there's a few rivers in WA, Western Australia, that it's possible to tour on, and most people just kayak them. So I was like, I'm going to paddleboard it. And that was last year, I think. Super good time.
How do you manage your gear with that?
Yeah, you've just got to make sure you waterproof everything very thoroughly.
Yeah.
And, there's touring stand-up paddleboards that have sort of storage on either end where you can strap stuff down. And, I tipped over and fell off a bunch because there's a lot of rapids on the river I did, and lost bits of gear and stuff like that. Bits fall out, which is inevitable. But yeah, it's probably not as hard as you'd think, as you'd imagine. And stand-up paddleboard touring's epic because, if you're kayak touring or canoeing, whatever, you're sitting down the whole time. Whereas on a stand-up, you can change your position and you just stand up most of the time and paddle. It's so much fun. Yeah. I love it.
What's the thing that gets sore or tired the first when you're doing this for long stretches? I've been on a stand-up paddleboard for like an hour at a time, and I feel like I'm tired after that. I couldn't imagine doing it for consecutive days.
Yeah. I mean, if you're standing up a lot, it's probably going to be the arms because you're doing like really long, deep strokes. It's like your shoulders and your back and that. And then sitting down's tough as well because you don't have the support you would in a kayak with a seat. So sitting down for long periods of time is going to hurt your back and you're going to get uncomfortable in all kinds of positions. But it's like anything, you do it enough and you get conditioned to it, and then, you're able to paddle for hours and hours. We're doing 12-hour days on the board. So yeah, it's like through hiking, I guess. At the start, the legs are going to hurt, and then eventually it's just how it is. Your body adapts.
What percentage of it is paddling and working versus just sitting there and letting the current take you?
Yeah, I'm probably paddling most of the time because the river I was on wasn't a fast-flowing river, but you let it take you when you can. Like if there's a long section of rapids, you just kind of hold them for the ride and steer and that kind of thing, which is a nice rest. But then there's some parts of the river that are very slow moving and it feels like you're almost going upstream paddling. Yeah.
How many people are doing multi-day supping? Like I imagine you mentioned most people are doing this on kayak, right?
Yeah, it's not really a thing in Australia, at least. I follow a few people that do it in the US and Canada and that kind of stuff, which is kind of inspiring. There's obviously some incredible rivers and some remote rivers and stuff out here that you could do it on. And I'm really interested in kayaking and rafting and stuff as well. But stand-up paddleboard touring's not a thing in Australia. I think I just saw someone do it on YouTube. I'm like, I'm going to do that. I've got a paddleboard. Yeah.
What's the general culture for adventure sports in Australia? Like, is it very common that all your friends growing up are doing stand-up paddleboarding, backpacking? Whatever?
Not really. No. The culture in Australia is definitely probably more geared towards the coast and water sports. So a lot of people are out saving and diving. Fishing is huge. Forward driving's really huge as well. Backpacking's not a big thing. It's definitely growing in popularity as these trails become more popularized. But yeah, like growing up, I'd be going out to the beach and going fishing and snorkeling rather than probably hiking as much.
What about rugby?
Rugby?
Yeah. Like you would be a rugby player.
Rugby. No, rugby's huge on the East Coast. Where I'm from, we play Australian rules football.
Okay.
Which is a different sport.
What is that?
Yeah, it's an Aussie thing only. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's the best sport in the world. It's like you got an oval shaped ball and you can kick it and you can like handball it and you can run with it and there's big sticks you kick it through.
Sounds an awful lot like rugby football to me.
Yeah, it's not rugby, but it's sort of similar in some ways, I guess. But it's the biggest sport in Australia, and where I'm from, that's the dominant sport. So I played that a bit when I was growing up. Yeah. I'll be watching it like in trail at 2 a.m. Because I froth it. I love it.
Yeah.
But the games are obviously on at weird times in American time zones. So,
have you dove into American football at all?
I've never seen an American football game.
Okay.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I'd be interested to. I'd love to go to like a college game. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If
it works out, you'll be finishing around college football season. You could go up to a Huskies game. Washington's got a good football program.
Cool.
That would be a fun one to go
I think
to.
I'd do it. Yeah. Some of the guys in my trail family are interested as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might make that happen.
Nice.
We could have got a baseball game and like NBA game.
Baseball's not fun.
It's not? No.
It's really long.
Well, isn't NFL really long as well?
No, not the same.
Not the same.
Baseball, they're running around a circle.
Well, I'm really into cricket. I don't know if you guys know much about cricket.
It's less boring than cricket.
Right.
American baseball is less boring. And Trance hasn't been to a game, I'm guessing, since they changed the rules. There's now like a pitch.
For baseball?
Yeah. They're now on a timer, so the instead of being 3 hours, games are closer to 2 hours now.
Oh.
So some cricket games, if they're playing Test cricket, which is like the long form, the games will go for like 5 days. So
Jesus. What do people do in between?
Just go home and sleep, and then
So
come
is
back
it like
and
5 p.m. cut the game? We'll restart 9 a.m. tomorrow.
essentially, yeah. It's really boring. I don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
But there's shorter forms of cricket that are a lot more entertaining.
Why do they do that?
It's just how it is. It's just, I don't know. It's always been that way. It's part of it's huge in Australia, cricket. Yeah.
Fascinating.
I think LA are bringing cricket to the Olympics.
Yeah, that's what they're replacing breakdancing with.
Yeah.
No, I'm not joking. That's
Ray
not a
Gun
joke.
broke breakdancing for the Olympics.
Literally,
Yeah, I
they're
think so.
taking out breakdancing and they're putting in cricket.
Yeah.
So we're much better at cricket than breakdancing, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
No one's going to embarrass themselves playing cricket because it's a slow game.
Yeah.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
We've talked about the Te Aurora a lot, so I guess let's just do the highlights. If there's like a section or a story, or if there's something that you want to relay to people, because I want to get into your PCT hike, obviously.
Yeah, TA is incredible. Yeah, you guys, I'm sure have heard a lot about it. It's such a beautiful trail, especially the South Island of New Zealand. Just some of the most beautiful landscapes in the world. It's I think it's very similar to the AT from what I've heard, in that it's less manicured than the PCT. It's there's no switchbacks. You're going straight up, you're going straight down, you're pushing through bush, you're sort of navigating in parts, and there's also a lot of huts, really fancy huts sometimes in the mountains, like cabins you can stay at, which is really cool. But yeah, incredible experience on that trail. The weather's terrible, which I think is probably more like the AT as well.
Yeah.
I had a lot of rain when I walked it last year, just always wet, shoes never dried, miserable, but somehow had the best time ever.
Yeah. Seems very muddy.
There's a lot of mud.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the north end of the trail and the south end of the trail. There's a couple of sections where you're just walking like through knee deep mud at times, and it's just like slow and miserable. But you kind of just embrace it because it's part of the trail and it's kind of funny, and yeah.
Yeah. How does the beauty of the TA compare to the PCT?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. They're different, but also similar in the same way. Like a lot of the TA feels like the Sierra at times, with just the mountains and the snow cap, peaks everywhere, and it's just like out of a postcard. Incredibly beautiful. And then there's a lot of, like in the North Island, there's like a lot of road walking, and that's kind of a bit less beautiful because you're walking along a road, which sucks. But then there's a lot of diversity in that trail as well, because you walk along beaches, some really long beaches. There's a part where you canoe a river as part of the trail for 4 days, which is just unbelievable. Feels like you're in another world. Going over volcanoes, it's very diverse, which is really cool. That's probably the best part about it.
Yeah, see, I'm sold on that one.
Yeah, and the thing about New Zealand is nothing there can kill you. There's no
Everything's
snakes,
so friendly.
no spiders, there's
And
no
kiwis are so
lions.
cute.
Yeah, there's only birds. That's all the native animals they have, and they're beautiful birds.
Are they kiwis? Is that the bird, or is it a kia? What are they called?
There's both a kiwi and a
okay,
kia.
they're both birds,
Yeah.
I saw a video of them pulling one out of a hole the other day.
All right.
That's my algorithm.
Yeah, that's funny.
From the Australian perspective, what is a Kiwi accent? Because we were talking a little bit before we hit record here that from an American standpoint, it's very difficult to tell the difference. So
Sure.
if you would humor us, could you give us a Kiwi accent?
I don't think I could. I can never put on accents. I don't know. There's subtle differences. There is subtle differences. We need to get a Kiwi. We need to get Eleanor in and compare the pair. But yeah, it's funny that you say that they sound similar, because to me they sound completely different.
Sure.
And I don't think I could tell you what was different about it.
Interesting. What does an American accent sound like to you?
It's weird because we grow up watching American TV, so we hear so much American accents, all our TV and movies and that kind of stuff is American. So it's almost like familiar.
Got it.
In a weird way, but then when you kind of come here and you hear people talk in real life like that, you're like, oh, that's actually how they talk. But it's normal.
Okay.
It's nothing crazy.
Cool.
Yeah. Who's the biggest Australian celebrity?
It's funny, we'll talk
Australian?
I think he is, yeah. We were talking about this the other day. I think like Hugh Jackman's probably the biggest.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if you're into F1, Daniel Ricciardo, he's a very, very popular dude. There's a lot of actors and actresses. Margot Robbie.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Margot
yeah.
Robbie.
Yeah.
That's got to be
Yeah.
one. That's definitely
Easy.
Yeah, there's a few out there. Nicole Kidman, yeah.
Is she too?
She's
Okay.
Aussie, yeah.
I always see her.
But I think Hugh
at the start of the
Jackman's
movie.
like, he just was just in the Wolverine Deadpool movie,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he's like all
Well,
the
Nicole
rage.
Kidman she's in the start of the AMC movies. She sits in a theater and
Right.
it's like a little
Yeah.
So
Who's the actress from the movie Monster? I think she's Australian as well.
I don't know what movie that is.
never heard of that.
It's a beautiful girl who plays a not attractive person in the film, which is why I think it's popular. I'll pull this up. Hold on. Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron. I don't think she's Australian.
Is she not Australian?
I don't think she's Australian.
Shit. I'm going to have to confirm myself now.
If
South
she is-
African. Shit.
Yeah.
Another one I get confused with the Australian accent. The accents are, again, they're not that close. All right. We can move
Cool.
on. Okay, so you've done long distance stand-up paddleboarding, mountain biking, and backpacking. If you could only do one for the rest of the time. Or actually, I'll let Chance frame her question. I
Oh no, you can do it. Go on.
Fuck, marry, kill.
Oh, jeez. I'd marry backpacking for sure.
Yeah.
100%. It's the best. And I haven't done as much of the other two either. And if I had to... I'm not going to swear, but I'd probably screw mountain biking and kill paddleboard touring. Mountain bike, yes. Bikepacking is good every now and then, but I could backpack forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so this is the question that I was asking before we hit record that Sean told me to shut the fuck up, but
I didn't say it like that.
you say, yeah, you were violent.
You're gonna give that chair back to me if you keep
We've
this
got a
attitude
witness
up.
here. He's got my back.
It was pretty aggressive.
Yeah, thank you.
You're sharing the couch with me, bud.
So 600 and how many thousand followers? A massive number. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
it is crazy. Did this happen prior to the PCT? Like, at what point did you explode?
Yeah, I've been creating content full time for about 3 years or so.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been sort of slowly growing over the years. Walking Te Aroa is probably where it first exploded.
What is what?
Walking Te Aroa, the New Zealand through
wow.
hike.
Sorry, I didn't-
Yeah,
We should just call it the TA from now on because
Yeah.
we'll never get that
Walking
right.
I don't
to-
try. I don't try.
it's hard. It's hard. I couldn't pronounce it when I started. And I got
Can you
absolutely.
do it again?
Te Aroa. Yeah, they roll the R's and it's interesting.
Well, you skipped like half the letters.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of all blends into one. But I was doing like daily videos there, similar to what I do on the PCT, and it was really popular. So I had a big growth spurt there, which was really cool. And then the PCT's blown up as well. Like a lot of Americans, I guess, have heard of the PCT, and I started posting, and so many people jumped on and followed, which has been awesome. So there's been a couple big spikes, I guess, over the last couple of years doing different hikes.
Did you find that people that knew you from this Australian fame recognized you when you were over here, or was it like being a celebrity in a place where no one really knows?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, people online definitely, when they see me doing the new hike, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I remember you walked the Bibbulmun track in 2020, and I've been following you this whole time." And same with people from New Zealand. But there's been just this whole new wave of Americans that have followed since here, which is it's been a whole new experience, and met so many cool people along the trail that follow along the journey and stuff like that, which is awesome. Yeah.
Do you get trail angels wanting to like meet you on trail and?
Yeah, we get a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and the trail farm get very spoilt.
Yeah.
Like that Aussie that we stayed national with, she was following along. And she's like, "Yeah, you guys got to stay with us when we come." And that happens all the time. Yeah, it's really cool.
You're being very nonchalant about it, but there's a lot of people that post content of their hikes, myself included, where like you don't see anywhere near the numbers that you have.
Mm.
What would you say attributes to you just like racking up this follower count? Like, what are you doing that's different from every other person doing it?
Yeah. I guess what helps me is I've been doing this full time for a long time, so I know what kind of works on social media, and I lean right into that. But also, I think the combo of authenticity and consistency is a huge thing. I post every day without missing a day, pretty much, and I'm not posting only reels. I'm posting stories and content, and I run like a whole second Instagram that I do through my Patreon, and I treat it as like a job, So that helps, and I think being authentic is a a lot of feedback that I get is, the authenticity of it, sharing the ups and downs and sharing the entire experience rather than, just this day here or this day here or the highs or whatever it is. And yeah, like I said, my experience making content, I know you need a good hook at the start of the video, and you need to keep people's engagement and keep people's attention and encourage engagement and that kind of stuff, which is what I focus on as well.
How do you manage all those different things while hiking? Because there's parts of the trail where you don't have cell reception. So if you want to do all this different stuff each day,
it's tough. It's very hard. But I think, I'm very, like I say, consistent. Every night in my tent, I'm going to sit there for 2 hours editing and sorting all my folders out and writing my recap of the day. And I'm really into stats, so I do all my stats and my kilometers walked and that kind of thing. And then, I schedule my posts. So when I'm in a town, for example, I do have service, I'll schedule, a week's worth of posts. So nothing's, exactly posted the day of. It's usually a few days behind, and that way I can keep consistent. But like I said before, it's my job and I treat it that way as well. So I'm very diligent with, I'm sometimes walking and editing and voicing over and that kind of stuff. And I spend quite a lot of time doing it, but I love it. I love it, which is how I'm able to. I think that's a lot of people's how they don't keep consistent is because they don't enjoy it and they get burnt out with the editing and all that kind of side of stuff. So that's the advantage I have is, I can't wait to get into my tent tonight and get all my clips together and do a voiceover and that kind of thing. And when I'm in town, I'm, scheduling my posts and replying to people, and I just have the best time doing it.
Is this all in your phone, or do you carry other things when you hike?
Yep, just on my phone. Yep, just the iPhone, which is so powerful these days. The cameras are awesome and it does everything you need. So yeah, film, voiceover, edit, post. What
are, as someone who creates hiking content, your go-to apps for getting shit done?
I'm very simple with my setup. I just use the Notes app on iPhone to do all my I do my daily recap. I write it all out and I put all my stats in there and organize it, keep it very organized. And then I use an editing app called CapCut for all my editing, which is pretty good. It's very easy to sort of organize everything in there. And it does everything you need with the voiceovers, and you can add captions to it and that kind of thing. I also use like the Photos app. I use that a lot for not only storing all the content, but like really organizing everything. So that's a big part of what I do in my tent is I organize everything by day, or your landscape versus portrait, photos versus videos, and just get everything in order, which helps, I think, be a lot more efficient as well with the whole process.
I'm impressed with how simple your setup is. Like, I would imagine somebody who's treating this like a full-time job would be doing drones and gimbals and all this, that, and the other. You're just doing it with an iPhone.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how it's sustainable.
Yeah.
You can't have a camera and a drone and post at the same time on trail. It just doesn't work. And I don't think people really connect with that kind of content as much anyway. I think people just want it to be raw and real. And I filmed it with my phone. I'm just pointing it at my face and talking, and that's all it is. And people resonate with that more, I think. Yeah.
You mentioned that you love the editing and all the behind the scenes stuff that goes along with this. Do you feel like in any way, because it's tough to love your job 100%, do you feel like this takes away from your hike at all, or do you think it adds to your hike?
Yeah, it's a good question, one I get asked a lot, and it definitely adds so much for me. So much. Not only because I get to look back on previous hikes and see everything I did, and that's the most incredible gift I can give to myself. Like, I can see, TA last year, I can see every day what I did and just relive all of that. It's the coolest thing ever. But yeah, even in the moment, I feel like it adds a lot because I'm doing so much more on trail, and I'm trying to capture so much more, and so I'm seeing so much more. I do so many side trips off the trail to see this and that and film this and try and make the experiences as full as possible. And then also I just get to connect with so many people that are, have similar interests, which is super fulfilling. And I get to inspire people to go outside and hike, which is a big part of why I post in the first place. And for me, that adds so many layers to a through hike that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise.
How are you juggling the different platforms?
I'm really only posting on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I started posting on TikTok as well, but I gave up on that because it's, like with everything, I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. I filmed a bit for YouTube as well while out here, but it's hard to keep on top of that. So I've kind of just kept it simple up until this point. I just post once every day on Instagram, and that's generally it.
That's interesting, because I feel like most of the people that do the content thing full time that I've met, like, who are individual creators, they use Instagram and TikTok as ways to funnel people back to YouTube. But it seems like you're doing it the other way.
Yeah, I really enjoy creating YouTube content, but it's a lot more effort. That's for sure. Especially, I know some people on trail that are doing daily YouTube content, and that blows my mind because it's such long videos, and you can't really put as much care into it, I don't think, doing that daily. But I make 90% of my income off Instagram, and so that's what I put all my focus into as well, as far as trying to make a living off of it.
Is that monetized Reels, or is that through partnerships?
Yeah, mostly through brand partnerships. Yeah, and I run like a Patreon. I don't know if you guys know Patreon.
We have Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. Yeah. So most of my patrons come through Instagram as well. It's just because it's my biggest platform, and
And you said you have a second Instagram. Is this like a whole second, like, kept on private Instagram?
Yeah, I have a private second one, and so like I said, all my daily reels are uploaded about a week, usually behind real time, and on the Patreon I keep it up to date live as much as possible when I have reception, and so it's kind of like that's a perk you get for joining the Patreon, among other things.
This is like the OnlyFans content.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is where the feet pic go. It's where all the nudes live.
Yeah, right.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's it.
So you're not using any sort of gimbal or anything? Because like the footage that you're getting is so steady. Is that just how good the new iPhones are?
The iPhones have great stabilization, and I've got the newest one, I think, which is really good. But also, I have a lot of practice being a human gimbal as well. So when I'm filming a clip, I'm probably getting into a really weird stance and just like bobbing up and down to keep it as stable as possible. And I'll delete a clip if it's too shaky and stuff like that. So experience helps with that. But the iPhones are so good. The inbuilt stabilization is crazy, as long as you're not like shaking your hand or running down the trail or whatever.
Yeah. How long have you been with your current hiking group?
We've hiked together since the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's actually 7 of us at our peak. We all met at Scout and Frodo in San Diego. And we pretty much all started within a day or two of each other. So, such a cool group. There was 4 of us out of Julian that we started hiking together. And then at Big Bear, there was 7. We all kind of knew each other from Scout and Frodo. Yeah. There's actually only 3 of us together now. One of the girls has left trail. She had to go to a wedding, and so she's off for a while. And there's another 3 that are a few days ahead of us, kind of split up.
Did they know you from
back.
Instagram beforehand?
No.
You mentioned in Australia there's not really like a trail family culture. What was that adjustment like, coming here and hiking with 7 people that you've known since the beginning?
Yeah.
It feels like you fell into it pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was interesting because I came here fully expecting and planning to hike alone the entire time. I much prefer hiking solo, actually, at least historically. I hiked the entirety of New Zealand by myself, and that's what I thought I would do here, even though I knew there was trail families and that's kind of what everyone did. But I fell into it straight away. Just met some really cool people that all walk the same pace as it happens with everyone, and I couldn't imagine hiking like without these guys now. It's crazy how things can change so fast. And I'm hiking with one Aussie, so obviously that's a good connection point at the start that we had. But the rest of our group's from all over. There's 2 Americans, there's a Slovakian and a Belgian and a Dane, so kind of like all over the shop. And yeah, I'm surprised myself that I'm hiking with people, but it's been so good.
Is it tough to keep up with them, considering the fact that you're doing so much work behind the scenes? Like it sounds like it's hours every single day. Like, are you having to hike harder to match their pace, or does it just work out naturally?
I think it just works out naturally, and I just find time to do it where I can.
Yeah.
Do they ever shit on you? Are they ever like, he's gonna go have his me time now in his tent?
Yep. Yeah, that definitely comes up, and with other hikers as well.
What kind of jokes do you get?
Yeah, it's that I don't want to be social. I'm gonna go hide away and do my voiceover, or like they hear me in the next room at a hostel in a town, just like talking away to myself and that kind of thing. It's definitely different. But a couple of the guys in my group also are posting a bit and stuff as well, so everyone's pretty cool with it.
I hiked the PCT for a good stretch with an Australian guy. Shout out the professor. I think he said, and correct me if I'm wrong, that in Australian culture, people really don't idolize celebrities. Like, it's different in America where like they are monolithic creatures, and in Australia, like, yeah, they're on the screen, but they're not viewed as the same way. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate. Yeah, it's kind of strange, especially like, you know, the Hollywood Californian culture of worshipping certain people that are famous or whatever. It's not as much of a thing in Australia.
Is it weird for you then, for people wanting to come out and like give you trail magic because they're obviously fangirling over your content?
Yeah, it is a bit strange. But yeah, I do love it as well. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to be able to have an impact on people in whatever way that is, and if it inspires them to come out and help, and I've managed to, you know, provide entertainment or whatever it is, then, you know, I quite like it. It's cool.
Yeah.
And I love just meeting people as well. Like, there's so many unique individuals in this country, and getting, you know, every aspect of that through posting on social media is awesome.
What is the strangest interaction, request / outreach you've gotten from someone while hiking the PCT?
I get a lot of people just asking to come, you know, pick us up and pick me up and take me back to their house or whatever, whether it's out of the goodness of their heart or whatever it is, but like not even in places where you'd even really need to get off trail, stuff like that, which is always a bit strange. But there hasn't been anything like too weird, to be honest. It's mostly people that I think are generally, you know, wanting to help out and maybe don't know exactly how to be a trail angel or whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to go there because in the previous episode, we just met a random hiker on the street who we lured in to do segments with us, and she revealed a story that she was Tindering her way up the trail, and
wow.
Yeah, she gave a very sexually explicit story for us. Have you encountered any sort of that situation, people trying to romantically swoon you?
I don't think anyone's really come on to me personally. I'm very publicly married, so I think
you're married.
That
okay.
helps.
That definitely
but I'm not gonna lie, there has been a couple of hikers and strangers that have insinuated things, definitely.
Yeah.
In what way?
Yeah. I've had 3 hikers talk to my trail family and say, you know, what happens on trail stays on trail, you know, what's Cam into, that kind of stuff. And, you know, you get messages all the time from people that live near the trail and want to say hi and that kind of stuff. It's just par for the course, I think.
Yeah. How does your wife handle that?
Yeah, she finds it funny. I just send her screenshots of every message I get and tell her all the stories, and yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, obviously, because I'm away for so long, and that's hard in different parts. But yeah, she finds the humor in it.
Yeah,
that's good.
How do you manage that? Because that's something that I struggle with, being married, being away for a long period of time. Different now, especially with kids, but even when I hiked the PCT, I was engaged to my now wife, and like that was challenging. And you know, she came out and visited me a couple times. I imagine probably not the case for you, considering your wife's, I imagine, in Australia.
Yep. She's in Australia, so we haven't seen each other for almost 4 months now, which is tough. But I guess because I've been doing this for a job for so long, it's we're sort of used to it and practicing it now. I travel a lot. I'm away for months at a time in certain parts. And she came over to New Zealand last year and visited me on the TA. Not quite as accessible to just fly over to the US. It's like a 24-hour flight, so she hasn't come over to see me here. But yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard, and it's a sacrifice for both of us. But the fact that I'm able to make a living out here, and she's the most supportive gal in the world. You know, she just knows how much I wanted to do the PCT, and she's all in with me. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to going home. I'll say that.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Karis.
Karis?
Yeah.
We love here. What do you miss most about her?
She's the most probably kind, non-judgmental, generous person in the world, and I'm kind of not that. And so when I'm not with her, I feel like I go down a path of the opposite. And so I miss that about her. She keeps me in line, and she'd make the perfect trail angel. She's just loves people so much. I'm looking forward to getting back and living with that every day. That's for sure.
Does she hike at all?
She hikes. Yeah, she's not a big backpacker.
Yeah.
She likes a shower at night.
Yeah.
And so she would never do something like the PCT. But we go out backpacking a bit at home, 1 or 2 nights, and she likes a day hike up a mountain or something. I'd love her to do a through hike with me, but I don't think that'll ever happen. I think we might do like the Camino or something one day together.
Yeah.
More of a walk that's a little less dirty.
I'm working on the same thing. My fiance he likes to camp when you can see the car.
Yes.
So I've got him to give a verbal yes to the Tour de Mont Blanc.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm trying to introduce him with hikes that have huts and like cooked food. I'm trying to introduce him to some bougie hikes so that I can slowly wean him into a more rugged way.
I think it has to be a process. Yeah.
Like a sneaky one too. He can't know what I'm doing. Yeah.
5 years ago, Karis probably wouldn't camp at all, but now she's done a few backpacking. Like she's been on the bib with me, and dealt with spiders in the hut and that kind of thing. And so she's slowly coming around. Maybe we'll get her on the AT or something one day.
Yeah. Okay, so timeline of PCT. So you've hiked into Bend, you said?
Yep.
I forget, what is the hop off?
Highway 20 or Highway 242 is where we got off.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the current fire situation on the PCT is pretty bleak.
Not good.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Wild year.
What's your plan here moving forward? Do you have like the rest of it drawn out, or are you just taking it one day at a time?
Yeah, one day at a time, nothing drawn out. We've been really lucky so far. We didn't have to skip any miles in California. Maybe I think we skipped 15 miles around the Shelley fire. They just started to open up, and we dodged the park fire. That was devastating. And a lot of hikers had to skip hundreds of miles around. And then we skipped about 80 in Oregon so far. So overall, we haven't had to skip much, which is nice. But yeah, Washington looks pretty brutal. Yeah. People are pulling out and all kinds of stuff. So we don't know exactly what we will do. We're going to try and hike as many miles as we can and get to the northern terminus. Yeah. Yeah.
How is that for mindset? Like, walk me through the first missed miles, because getting through California without having to miss anything, you've got to be running a high, right? And then you get to this fire where you finally have to start missing some miles. What does that do to morale? What's that like to live through?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think it's affected my morale or anyone I'm hiking with too much. I think we've been expecting to have to skip a significant amount of trail for a long time now. Ever since leaving the Sierra, I think the fires have been, popping off earlier than they usually have. And I've hiked a lot of like extra miles off trail on the PCT this year, and so I'm not too fussed about missing some miles on trail. I think I'll still end up walking 650 miles on the PCT or near the PCT this season. So if I have to skip some, so be it. I'm not too fussed about it.
Is there a different mindset in Australia with the long trails you have there around it not being as purist of a culture at times? Because I feel like with through hiking here, while not everyone is that way, there is a big mindset around a continuous footpath or not missing miles, and it's just there's more back and forth about that, and you seem so chill about it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar actually at home. There wouldn't be as much closed trail in a typical hiking season, at least on the bib track, which is the one I'm most familiar with. But if there was, people generally would try and keep a continuous footpath still, I would say. But I think it's so different with such a long trail like the PCT compared to something like a 650 mile trail. The PCT is 2,000 miles longer, and so and there's so much history to the PCT, whereas hiking every mile is such a magical thing that everyone wants to accomplish. So there's a lot of pressure to sort of do that. But yeah, I don't feel that, to be honest. I don't feel the pressure to walk every mile if I can't. If it's out of my control, I walk every mile that I can. I'm not going to walk a road around a fire trail. I want to enjoy my time out here. Yeah. So we walked the Tahoe Rim Trail, which is extra 100 or so miles, and then I'm not going to walk the road around the fire north of Crater Lake. I'd rather walk something else. That kind of thing.
How'd you like the TRT?
TRT was awesome. Yeah, it was worth doing for sure. Yeah, it was unreal. Cool to see the lake from every sort of angle, and way more than you do off the PCT. Yeah. and we had some incredible trail angels in South Lake Tahoe. So we stayed with them at the beginning of the TRT and then again at the end, and that was really cool. Yeah, it was a good time.
I think the year that we hiked, and maybe this is true even still to this day, but I know the Oregon Coast Trail became very popular, especially because so much of Oregon was closed. Is that something that has entered your radar? Yeah,
a lot of people have, I think, done it this year.
Okay.
We've heard a lot about it. We considered it coming into Oregon because we weren't sure how much miles were to be skipped, but I think now we're only going to have to skip that 80 miles, and then we've got a clear run to back here once we go back to Bend. So it probably wasn't something we really seriously considered once we found out the situation. Sounds cool though. I miss the ocean. I haven't seen the ocean for 4 months, and I live on the ocean back home, so it was tempting in that regard to go see the beach.
Yeah. And Oregon's got some very beautiful coasts.
I've heard that, yeah. But I mean, geez, the Oregon PCT has been incredible.
Yeah.
I would have hated to miss Crater Lake and Three Sisters and all that. It's blown my mind.
Yeah.
Oregon's awesome.
I want to go back to the content thing. You said that clearly you figured out social media, like you're good at it. What is your approach to content? Like, are you focusing on the highs, the lows, a combination? Like, what's your formula for creating a video for a day?
Yeah, I try and trying to tell a story every day. That's usually my goal, and I'll kind of formulate that the day of, whether it's based on the landscape we're walking through, or maybe there's a fire and we'll sort of focus on that for this day, or we've got a bunch of trail magic today, we're going to talk about that. Or sometimes I like talking about what I'm eating. Every day I have sort of like a story that I focus on, and I film like a little intro in the morning that sort of sets that up, and then I just film a ton of random clips throughout the day, and then I sort of really try and formulate that story in the editing. And so yeah, that's my general process, and I try to keep it fresh and share things that are new, because often trail can get monotonous walking it, and then watching that can be very monotonous as well. Which is where I try and create some difference with each video. Yeah.
Does it get challenging, like 100 days in, to
definitely
find unique angles?
It definitely does, yeah. But I seem to find that just every day on trail, something cool happens that I can talk about.
Yeah.
And there's always hundreds of questions coming in from people that are watching along, curious about different aspects of what we're doing. So I'm able to sort of focus on something different in days that maybe aren't so interesting with the landscapes, or you're walking through a burn zone or whatever it is. I can talk about something else that people are interested in and have been asking about.
Yeah.
And
your videos look like they're a minute and a half, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. Aim for about 90 seconds.
Yeah. How much footage are you filming for a 90-second video?
I'm filming all day. I'll film anywhere between 30 and 100 clips in a day, and probably not use most of them, but it gives me a lot of freedom in the editing, I guess, having extra footage to be able to form whatever story I want to tell.
Yeah.
And sometimes the story that I think I'm going to tell on the day, when I'm editing a few days later or that night, I tell a completely different story based on what I filmed and what ended up happening. But I'll film a lot and have to cut down. I might have like 15 to 20 minutes worth of footage in CapCut, and then cut it down to 90 seconds. And yeah, I try not to go too much longer than that, because people's attention spans are short.
I'm impressed if you can go from 15 minutes to 90 seconds in just a couple of hours. Like, I feel like that is a longer editing process, and the very little bit of editing that I've done, like that can take me a full day.
It's time consuming, and I guess I've just done it that much that I'm just like sitting there, moving 1,000 miles a minute, and I can get it done within an hour or whatever.
Well, the good thing about you posting all these stories is that you get feedback on the ones that people love, or maybe don't bite on as much. So really great for us in this position, because I can ask you something like, what are your top 2 or 3 stories to tell from the PCT, and you can kind of go in the brain bank and say the internet loved these ones. So what are your top 2 or 3 stories that have done the best, that have been like most interesting to other people?
Well, definitely, the beginning of the trail is where most people see the content, and so telling the story of what the PCT is, introducing it, for one, is the most important part of these trips as far as content goes. So episode 1 of my series, day 1 on the PCT, by far has the most views and the most comments and the most interest, because people sort of they're interested in the beginning, and if you can tell that story right and set it up and what you're about to embark on, that's very compelling, I think. So that's a huge one. And I think, I mean, some videos do really well, and it could be the most boring day on trail. I think people, lately at least, people are really interested in just like the mundane things about through hiking. So I did a video on like just talking about what I eat in a day, and people loved seeing that. Or, you know, how I choose a campsite, or just really random things. People, I guess most of the world doesn't through hike, and so they have no idea what the day-to-day or hour-to-hour looks like, and to be able to share that, people love as well. But yeah, I mean, it's weird sometimes, like I said, the most boring stuff people love, or like I'm like, this video sucks, and it goes like super viral. Like, what just happened? And then I put a lot of effort in trying to tell, like, you know, a story about how we pushed really hard one day and it sucked, but we powered through, and then no one cares how many miles you walked or whatever it is, like that. Yeah. Social media is interesting. You can't really predict it sometimes.
Yeah. If you had advice for somebody that wanted to follow in your foot tracks and become a professional Instagram hiker, what would you advise them?
The biggest thing is to be yourself. I mean, you gotta be authentic, I think, because, you know, the most important thing to be able to get people to invest in your journey is to be consistent and post a lot. And, you know, people want to see the whole experience and the whole story. And if you're not being yourself, it's very hard to fake it for a long period of time and be consistently, you know, faking. I've seen a few people try and film videos, and, you know, you can tell it's not who they are. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to put on a show or a facade or whatever they think might look entertaining. And I think everyone's got something to offer, so just lean into who you are and be very authentic with it. But you also have to be willing to, I guess, do what works on social media. Some people just want to post a 5-minute video, and it may be an awesome video, but people aren't going to watch a 5-minute video. It's as simple as that. People want, or people at least get attracted to short and snappy and, you know, authentic and wow kind of stuff. So you have to lean into that as well to be successful on Instagram. Yeah.
What has been your best day on the PCT so far?
The best day on the PCT? It's hard to go past Mount Whitney. That was such an incredible day. Yeah, we got up at midnight and hiked to the summit for sunrise, and there was like 30 through hikers up there, and like our group really struggled. Some of our members in our group, we were 7 at that point, but we all, you know, kind of pushed to the top, and a few people had a bit of altitude issues, and then that's by far the best view I've had on trail, that sunrise. It was incredible. Then we hiked down, and then we hiked like another 20 miles that day or something in the afternoon to the base of Forester, and that definitely stands out as one of the highlights, I would say. I also loved like the aqueduct. We did like an overnight from Hikertown to Hatchapee in one go, which was like our biggest day on trail, and everyone struggling and falling asleep while hiking, but we all made it. I think like the camaraderie and experiencing that with other people in those tougher days is probably the biggest positive memories for me. But I mean, every day's been so good.
Yeah. Flip side.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's got to be a bad day out there, right?
What's your worst day been?
Yeah, geez. It's hard. I don't think I've had a bad day, which is, I don't know if that's crazy to say, but I haven't got to the end of a day and say like, that sucked. I wish I didn't experience that.
That is impressive that you've made it this far into Oregon and you haven't experienced that. Yeah, I think you're in the minority.
I love hiking so much.
Yeah.
There's been days where I've been in pain, super fatigued, you know, this hurts or whatever, but I'm kind of weird that I like when it's harder, I like it more. Like I'm going to do the 24-hour challenge and after PCT days, and I can't wait to suffer. It's going to be awesome. But I mean, yeah, I've loved every day, but there has been days where the weather's sucked. You know, there's been a few heat waves and you're just like walking 30 miles and I'm doing like a 15-mile water carry and it's 110 degrees and it's like this, you know, it's not fun.
Yeah.
But I get to the end of the day, I'm like, you know, I'm glad I did that.
Sure.
Yeah.
What has been your scariest day?
Scariest? There was a couple days. There's one I can specifically remember in the desert when it was one of the heat waves where I was pretty close to probably like getting heat stroke and being pretty bad shape, because there was like a water source that I was hiking to that was dry when I got to it. I was expecting to have water, and there wasn't any more water for like 5 miles till a water cache or something. And I'm quite an ultralight hiker, and I treat water as like weight, and so I carry the least amount of water as I possibly can at all times. And when you're expecting to fill up at a stream and it doesn't have any water in it, I remember getting to that water cache and I was like barely able to keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it was 110 degrees that day, and I was just like, my brain felt like it was about to melt. That was scary for sure.
What was the fix?
I drank a lot of water and sat in the shade, and I think I slept for like 3 hours.
Oh, I thought you said there was no water.
No, I got to a water cache eventually.
Oh, okay.
But I got to that first water source. There was no water.
Got it. Okay.
How much further did you have to push?
I think it was like 5 miles.
Yeah, that's a long 5
And
miles.
I had zero water, and my mouth was like as dry as the desert itself.
Has that changed your water carrying technique?
No. It hasn't, no.
Yeah.
I still carry very minimal water, but yeah, I think I'm probably a bit more thorough with checking fire out and making sure there's proper sources available.
Sure.
Because I was probably a bit, in hindsight, I think that water source, someone had said it was dry, but there was like 17 comments like 2 days before that said it was water, and I just was, it's probably something. Yeah.
If you were giving advice to someone either from Australia or abroad in general who wants to come do the PCT, what tips would you give them that would have made your life easier?
Yeah, that's a good question. Coming from Australia, it's hard because it's so far away, and the visa process is annoying. I think trying to get on top of all that stuff as early as possible would be a good tip for Aussies, because I had to wait, I think 3 months for my visa appointment, and then like another month to get it approved. And I was lucky that I did it, quite far in advance. You could quite easily just not get it in time, and then you're not coming. So
do you have to do your visa before you get the PCT permit, or do you have to get the permit before you get your visa?
I don't think you have to do either first. I don't think.
Okay.
No. But they did ask me what I was doing in like the visa interview, and I was like, I'm going for a hike, and the guy was like, you don't need 6 months to go for a hike. I'm like, it's a very long hike. And he didn't know what the PCT was, but he eventually got it and gave me the visa. But I didn't need the visa to get the permit or anything. That's for sure.
I didn't know if you had to tell them like your start date or anything like that.
Nah, I didn't have to do any of that.
Oh.
They just wanted to make sure I had money and that I wasn't going to work here.
How much time do you need once you arrive to the States before you're actually ready to hike? Because I imagine the jet lag's
bad, yeah.
Yeah. Like you can't start hiking the next day, or can you? I don't know.
A lot of Aussies did that I know. I had, I think 3 nights in San Diego.
Okay.
And I felt like that was enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one full day where I just zonked out and slept.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 nights of scouting photos, which kind of got me in the rhythm. But I don't know. I don't think it's the hugest deal in the world, because you can get adapted to the new time zone on trail if you have to.
Yeah.
You can kind of go to bed whenever you want.
And I guess being outside that much is probably the best way to fight the jet lag.
I think so.
Yeah. Getting your circadian rhythm back online.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah.
You mentioned the visa people mainly just wanted to make sure that you had money and weren't going to work here. How much, if you know, or if you have a ballpark, have you spent so far on the trail?
Yeah, I haven't kept track of that exactly. But I'd say I would have spent close to like 10,000 Australian dollars so far, which I don't know how much US dollars that is. Maybe like
Looking it up,
7,000 US dollars, something like that so far. But as you guys know, it varies with how you want to hike the trail. I think I'm pretty frugal for the most part. And I'm very lucky I get, a lot of love from from strangers, which helps.
about 6,700.
6,700? Yeah, that sounds about right. I would say.
Hotels? Is it food? Is it excursions?
It's mostly food for sure, and I eat out a lot, which is probably if I did a breakdown, I'd say I spend a lot of money eating out in towns and stuff, because I don't hold back when I get town food. But we yeah, I rarely get hotels or anything like that. It's either Trail Angels or just camping.
If you were talking to someone who was looking to do the PCT, based on the numbers that you know so far, and you're saying you're fairly frugal, how much would you tell someone to budget for this hike?
Probably maybe $10,000 I would say, you know, and if you have all your gear already, that's probably a safe bet. I would say probably budget a bit more than you think you'll spend, because coming over here, I had a rough idea of, you know, how much money I wanted to spend, but being out on trail, you know, when you get into town, I don't want to feel like I can't do something as well. And so having a bit of extra cash to sort of splurge, and when you're feeling absolutely cooked, to get a bed and a nice meal is nice as well.
Yeah.
I know some people that they just don't have money. They might be young, or they just might, you know, be backpacking, and they live a pretty rough life on trail, whether it's, you know, never having a bed or limited showers, or, you know, living out of hiker boxes, whatever it is. Yeah, but probably $10,000 is a good number, I would say, to have everything covered. How much do you guys know how much you spent on trail?
No idea.
No.
Chance asks a lot, and I wouldn't be able to give like even a good estimate.
I've done math of how much I would assume the hike would cost me from like a mathematical perspective, but I did not track like how much I specifically spent. I'm very much in the mindset of, if I have the minorest inconvenience happen to me, I deserve a little treat.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
And when you're doing a through hike, like every day is a minor inconvenience.
Every
it's just
step
like
is.
a slew of them. So you get to town and it's like, I deserve every little treat that I see. I deserve that bed. I deserve, you know, when validating the cost to myself. I'm never going to say no to something.
Yeah, I have that same mindset in towns.
Bad.
Yeah, it's kind of bad.
Yeah.
You can spend a lot of money very quickly. Especially in small trail towns.
Yeah.
Everything costs a fortune.
It's helpful when you have an amount that you can see going down and you have to readjust, but I'm the person that wants to make up for my inconveniences with little treats, and that.
Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah.
Do you know what's next?
What's next?
In terms of like adventures post PCT.
I like that he said that like as if you were gonna pull out
this is the segment where we
should I be expecting something here?
Here's the fireworks.
What's next after PCT? Nothing big planned. I've got a lot of hikes I want to do, but I'm gonna head home for a while at least. Spend some time with the wife and the family, and Perth summer where I'm from was awesome with the beach and stuff. And as I said, spring, I'll get home in the midst of spring, so there'll be some good hiking to do back home. So probably be home for at least half a year. I really want to go to Europe next. I've never been to Europe, and I'm hiking with a bunch of Europeans that have done some incredible stuff in that continent. So Camino, I want to visit the Swiss Alps and the Dolomites and go hiking and all kinds of places in the Nordics and whatnot. But nothing locked in just yet. Yeah.
And I think as our last question, if you wouldn't mind grabbing one of our balls here, this is the Gosmergir Kumo question.
It's so much weirder when you say it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a little violating.
Here, I'll pass him to Chance so she can present her balls to you.
For those that are just listening, If
you'd like to.
I'm grabbing one of these?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a fortune cookie with a question inside.
Yeah, there's
questions. Great. All right.
Use code
Snugglebug for 20% off your shelters at gosmergear.com. Thank you, Gosmergear.
All right. What is your spirit animal and why? That's the question for me.
Yeah.
What is my spirit animal? I would probably say like a monkey, like one of those small monkeys that just like send it in the trees and stuff in the jungle. I would say that's me. I love jumping on stuff, and I think my trail family would probably tell you that I'm just like always jumping on like random logs and poking at things on trail. Monkeys are also my favorite animal, probably besides kangaroo. So I relate to monkeys, man. Yeah. I love that.
It's a good way to keep the trail fresh and fun.
Yeah. What are your spirit animals?
Oh, jeez.
I think I would be a house cat.
A house cat?
Yeah. Like I want attention when I want it, but I also want everything my way, and only in the quantities that I am open to at
that sounds like moment. My cat. Yeah.
Not to be too close to Chance here, but I'm probably a dog. Just because I'm very food driven.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I live to eat in different ways. Part of the reason I like hiking is I can just eat at the end of it.
That's the best part, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, probably a dog.
Nice. Love that.
Very boring cat and a dog. Yeah.
Go us.
Yeah. Well, Cam, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us.
Of course.
Obviously, we talked a lot about the Instagram, but let folks know where they should go to get more from you.
Yeah, Cam Bostock on Instagram, the best way to find the stuff I put out. And yeah, probably another month from the PCT left, so plenty of videos coming, which will be good.
Hell yeah. Well, best of luck on the rest of the hike, and thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
To the Trek propaganda portion of today's show. This one actually happened while we were at PCT Days, to keep things on theme. So I missed the article. I'm just going to read the first couple of paragraphs here. The happy one. Black bear that mauled 3-year-old girl near Yellowstone has been euthanized. A black bear that reportedly mauled a 3-year-old girl near Yellowstone National Park over the weekend has been euthanized, according to state officials. The girl was sleeping in a tent at a private campground between Yellowstone and the town of Red Lodge, Montana, when the bear attacked her around 10 p.m. on Sunday. The girl was transported to a medical facility in Billings to be treated for her injuries. Meanwhile, the campground was evacuated and snares and traps were set. That's not a fun one.
Nope.
At all. And is your literal nightmare.
Yeah.
And for it to happen to a 3-year-old is all the more tragic. So
yeah, I hate that.
Definitely our hearts go out to the family and loved ones of that family. No good transition, but we're going to do it. Question of the day. This is yours.
Mm-hmm. It is. Are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays even days, and Tuesdays and Thursdays odd days, or vice versa?
For as much as I didn't like the color number question of the day, which we did in the previous episode, this one makes more sense to me as somebody that doesn't have too much abstract thinking in their brain. Monday's 1. Monday's the first day of the week.
Interesting. So you're saying it's odd.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1, 3, 5.
I see the logic, and I could also counter that Sunday is 1. But I also
no
see
one
that
feels like Sunday is the beginning of the week.
No, I know. I see where you're coming from, but I disagree. My brain says Tuesdays and Thursdays are odd days because there's less of them, and that's not necessarily something that makes sense to say out loud. But my brain equates that.
Yeah.
And they're the sandwich ones. They're in between the other ones. And
Why is
I
that
always
associated with being odd?
Because even numbers are so easy to do math with. So if you're counting by twos, it's easy to be like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. If you're counting by odds, it's like 1, 3, 5, 7. It's just harder.
Uh-huh.
And so I think that the in-between day feels like the in-between numbers, and my brain says the odd numbers are in-between numbers because I count by even numbers.
Are you just being the devil's advocate
No,
right
that
now?
makes complete sense
So
in my
this
brain.
is what you actually think?
I promise you. In my
Okay.
brain, this makes sense.
Yeah, this will be a great poll because I don't know how anyone could see anything other than Monday being 1.
I just explained to you how.
Yeah, but
I literally just walked you through it.
Did you?
It's easier to count by even numbers. The numbers in between the even numbers are the odd numbers. These are the days that are tucked between the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so they are the odd days.
Yeah. Like 60% of people are going to agree with you because that's how it goes, but definitely not right.
Okay, well, agree to disagree, I guess.
Yeah. But it did have the revelation on the previous question of the day about colors and numbers. Totally overlooked the fact that 5 is purple.
Orange. So orange. So orange.
If I had it queued up on my computer, I would play a Maroon 5 song here for you. But like they already proved that is the case.
They're wrong. They're just wrong.
What's his name? The lead singer, Adam Levine? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Take it up with him. Okay. Triple Crown. Shout out to Pardon My Take. We're directly ripping this one off of you.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sure they steal stuff from us all the time. They're big fans of
Yeah.
ours too. But this is the Triple Crown of meat.
Yeah.
I can't believe we haven't done this one.
Me neither.
This was when I saw them do it. I'm like, this is the biggest oversight in the history of the podcast.
Yeah, and also an incredibly hard Triple Crown to do.
Yeah, there'll be some honorable mentions to say the least.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? I think I want the turn.
What does that mean?
The turn means the 2 and 3 slot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can go first.
Okay.
This is so hard. How do you pick? Are we going like cow, pig, or are we going like
specific? Like you see it on a menu. This is a meat. You won't be like 1 pig, please. I guess in a luau, maybe kind of, but yeah.
Oh my God, it's so. I'm so conflicted over which one to pick first. I'm going to go with safe. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go with ribs.
Ooh, I didn't have that in my top 2. It's on my list, obviously. Ribs is good. I love ribs.
It's a hot.
I had ribs yesterday.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that are also great.
Yeah, you're leaving a lot on the table here.
Yeah.
I'm going to take 2 of the best ones for sure. Number 1, brisket.
Yeah.
That's the universal number 1. When brisket is done well, whew,
Brisket is great.
Famous brisket places like Franklin's in Austin will get like hour-plus long lines. And
brisket
is worth the wait. The Salt Lake is also really good.
Brisket is like the string cheese of meat.
In terms of the consistency, or
like it gets the little peely bits.
Yeah.
It's just a fun meat.
And when the fat is rendered correctly, it's like it melts in your mouth. You get the burnt ends. Yeah. Paired with a good barbecue. And I'm glad these both fell to me. I can't believe it. Wings.
Oh my God, I didn't even have wings on my list. I love wings.
Yeah, wings are the best.
Oh, I'm so glad you took that because I would have felt bad if it didn't make it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is maybe the thing that I'm looking forward to the most with the New York trip is going to Buffalo and getting some proper buffalo wings.
I hope we are so hungry, and I hope we never fill up.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay. Pulled pork.
Yep.
I don't know.
I
think if I thought about this for longer, maybe I could put other things above it. But pulled pork is great. And you just cover it in barbecue sauce, and it gets better. Nice little piece of cornbread. Yum.
Can't hate on that. It wouldn't be my next pick, but also it's not a bad pick.
I'm so torn for this last one. I've got so many. So many.
Yeah, there's a lot. But this Triple Crown with 2 people is an injustice.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be a round 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a lot of honorable mentions, but... bacon.
That was on my list.
I don't know if I believe it, though.
Although you went clean pork the whole way through. You went ribs, pulled pork, bacon.
Are ribs pork?
Yeah. Well, you can get beef ribs, but typically when you get like baby back or St. Louis, those are pork ribs.
I guess I always deep down knew that.
Yeah.
But if you had asked me, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, you're a pork girl.
That's what they call me.
I don't hate on bacon at all. You can make a strong case for bacon being number 1.
I just think about the time that we did Palooza last year, and I got bacon for breakfast.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I also learned that you're willing to eat incredibly crispy bacon, whereas I'm on the other end of the spectrum to maybe a psychotic degree.
I don't like fatty things. They're hard to chew.
Yeah. I can eat it if it's like barely cooked. Like
I don't want my bacon. Don't put me down as crispy bacon girl. That's not me.
Crispy bacon girl.
I'm willing to eat it.
You're not a crispy bacon girl?
I'm a nice in between. Like a little soft, a little.
You're not a CBG?
I'm not a CBG.
Okay. Yeah. I overcooked the bacon. It was to the point where I didn't enjoy that level of
Yes,
crisp.
you gave it to me.
Yeah.
Classic.
That was my first time using an induction oven, and it was a cheap one, to my credit.
I don't think I know how to use an induction oven.
It's not difficult. The reason it was tough to cook with was not because it was induction. I think it was just because it was a cheap setup. But, yeah, I don't exactly know how it works, but I think it's magnets or something like that.
The oven worked on magnets?
Yeah. It's to the point where, like, if the you take it off the heat, it doesn't... I have to look up how it works, but it's not like the surface itself doesn't get hot. Like the heat gets transferred to the pan. So like apparently you can put your hand on the cooking surface like immediately after you cook it, and it's not going to be hot. I think is my understanding.
So when we make bacon, we like to make oven bacon, which is literally you make it in the oven.
That's how I made it day 2, and it was way better.
I thought you were saying that the inside of the oven heats things via magnets.
No. I'm talking about
that's insane.
Yeah, no, the stovetop.
Got it.
Did I
still
say oven the first time?
I don't know. That's still kind of crazy.
Yeah. My last pick. Damn, there's some good options still out here. Shit in my face. I can't say. I can't leave this. I gotta go steak.
Yeah. It's like broad though. What kind?
Fair. I guess if we're gonna go, we could do a triple crown of steaks.
Literally, we could.
Yeah, that might be a good next one.
Yeah.
Well, you'll know my first pick. There's so many good options. I think I go New York strip.
Okay.
That's my go-to.
I agree completely. I love sous videing a steak.
Yeah. I've never done it, but I've had it, and yeah, no wrong way to skin a cat.
For my first honorable mention, I have never been...
Should we save this for round 2?
No. I need to say this one.
Okay.
I need to get it off my chest. But I've never been more upset about not wearing a specific shirt here today, because my honorable mention is prosciutto. And from Italy, we have shirts, me and Garrett's family, we have matching shirts that say I heart prosciutto. And I would have loved to just like be like prosciutto, and it's like an I heart
By the way,
prosciutto
your
shirt.
underneath shirt is kind of skin tone, so I thought I was getting flashed for a second. Shout out to the YouTube.
You didn't look away.
What was I supposed to do?
I would have loved to be wearing the I heart prosciutto shirt by chance right now, and just have been able to be like prosciutto.
Yeah. I wonder if I have any grease stains on my shirt. That would have been my way of showing my love. Honorable mentions. We're gonna have to go back and forth because otherwise somebody's gonna clean up all the good ones. I'm going basic bitch here, but a cheeseburger.
Okay, that is really basic. Chicken tender.
That was probably next.
Love
on my
a chicken
list.
tender.
Bratwurst.
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like I'm good.
Yeah. I could keep going for a long time.
I could think of more, but I'm gonna not.
Okay.
I needed to say prosciutto.
Yeah.
I couldn't leave that one behind.
We should do triple crown of steaks next time.
Okay.
What do we got next? Mailbag.
Deep breath. This is Johnny Walker. It was wonderful to hear about Quack's adventures after we lost touch at the end of the Colorado Trail. Okay, for reference for listeners, if you listen to Quack's episode, he talked about hiking with Johnny Walker.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I forgot. My brain was like, who's Johnny Walker again? And then I remember reading this the first time.
Yeah.
So jogging the memories for everyone who's not.
Johnny, if you're listening, we'd like to have you on the podcast. So hit us up.
Message us again. This is Johnny Walker. It was wonderful to hear about Quack's adventures after we lost touch at the end of the CT. Our third in and out hiking partner, Fat Albert, pointed me to the podcast. It made my day. For all of Quack's kick the can and keep my options open attitude, he is a fierce goal-oriented hiker. I believe we both finished it way under our day budget. On my part, I finished it over a week early. It's probably why I want to do it again, and perhaps why he also ended up revisiting it himself. That year, 2014, there was a confluence of famous thru hikers that we ran into on the Colorado Trail who were epic triple crowners in their own right. 5 Gallon, Inspector Gadget. There was a whole group of triple crowners who did the Florida Trail together after the AT, PCT, CDT, and then went to the CT and multiple redoers of the CT. Before the CT, I had walked across Switzerland to Italy on the GR33 and then did the Annapurna circuit and some side treks in Nepal, including whitewater kayaking down the Seti River and almost drowned, luckily I survived, and temple raiding across India, Burma, and Thailand. So when I got to the CT, I had decided to do it ultralight. My dry pack weight must have been 13 pounds, with 10 pounds of food, which is why I really appreciated hiking with Quack, since he was definitely overloaded with gear and food. He was so sick of mountain houses, he started letting me have some. He may have been gaining weight. While I was losing 1 pound per day and was subsisting on 25-cent ramen and $1 instant mashed potatoes I bought at King Super. After the Colorado Trail finish, I finished my Asian sojourn by going into northern Thailand and taking the slow boat down the Mekong River into Laos and Vietnam. Side note, I've done that. It rocks. And hitting up islands in the Philippines, Indonesia, and Thailand, often with a bag full of charcoal pencils and artist notebooks. I'll hit Quack up and let him know I'm still alive. Maybe we can get the band back together. Best, John.
Johnny Walker, you were the man. Thank you for sharing that additional context from your guys' hike. And like I said, hit us up. 5-star review. We've got a couple of them. This is from Recon AT24. Great podcast. I just listened to episode 250 with Jabba. I'm a physician, and I'm sorry to tell Chance, but it is totally possible to feel stool through the vaginal wall. I thought I was the one that was skeptical about that.
You were.
The wall.
But I think I was afraid.
Maybe. The wall of the rectum and the wall of the vagina are right up against each other, and both are very thin. There's literally nothing between the rectum and the vagina. Sorry, Chance. What do you have to say for yourself?
I mean, it doesn't affect me.
We need to clip that, please. Holy shit.
That wasn't that funny.
That was very defensive. Oh my God.
I mean, I'm thinking about it in terms of like, I've got a ring on my finger, you know, like Gary's not going anywhere. If I was dating and I knew that, I'd be mortified. I'd be pooping before every date.
I don't think that's what the
Well,
commenter
not that would be where every date's going, but I don't know. It'd be my stool that would be felt, wouldn't it?
Not with that attitude. This is from, do you want to take the next one?
Sure. Keeping the torch lit from Latvahat. This podcast is single-handedly keeping my torch lit for doing a long trail once my kids are old enough that I need to disappear for a few months to remind them that they love me. Top 3 things I like. 1. On YouTube, hi internet, Chance actually throws off the white balance with her ginger power. Okay. 2. There's a review for this show from a physician who feels obligated to set the record straight on the relative placement of the anal/vaginal wall. You learn something new every day. 3. That episode where Zach wanted to fistfight an alien. To be fair, totally understand his argument, but props to Chance for her dogged questioning. True journalistic integrity. Keep the good show coming. Love your guys' dynamic and the show. Thank you.
That was excellent. Thank you so much. If you guys want to have your review read on this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us any number of stars, just not 1, 2, 3, or 4. And also send us a screenshot of your review. Email us at podcast@thetrek.co, and we'll send you a Backpacker Radio sticker. Still doing that. Send out a couple today. Super big thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. I literally was trying to go through the Patreon app because we have a couple of new Chuck Norris people.
Yeah,
and
we're missing Ohio.
I'm not able to dig it up. Here, do you want to? I think I sent them as screenshots.
Yeah, you did.
So we're going to do those at the end. Super big thank you to our Chuck Norris Award winners on Patreon. That is Alex and Misty with Navigators Crafting, Andrew, Austin McDaniel, Austin Ford, Brad and Blair from 13 Adventures, Brent Stenberg, Brian Allsop,
Fables,
Christopher Marshburn, Coach from Marion Outdoors, Dane,
Ish,
Derek Cook, Eric Casper,
The Friendly Ghost,
Eric Hoffman, Jillian Daniels, Greg Knight, Greg McDaniel,
May bring honor to his name,
Haley Buckingham,
Palace,
Liz Seeger, Patrick Ciancialo, Sawyer Products, Spam, Timothy Hahn,
Solo,
Tracy Trigger,
Tons.
and Griffin. Hey, would you bring me a beer? And
Water, Ohio.
yeah, was there more to it?
No, because I think the order of it was wrong. I've got to find that video.
I think there were a couple. Were there not?
Oh, that's just the one I found so far. You're asking if there was.
Oh, it's
more.
called Following Water, Ohio. Is the full name. So thank you, Following Water, Ohio.
Following Water, Ohio. Sorry, Rebecca Clark.
Rebecca Clark. Do you have anything fun for that?
No.
You had this whole crazy spiel last night about something
because
Ohio.
of Ohio. Because I follow a middle school teacher on TikTok who breaks down kid slang, and Riz is a slang word I've known.
Yeah,
that one.
it's well documented.
We learned that at Palooza.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's one that's skibbity, and that one, from my understanding, doesn't mean anything. It's just like it conjoins words. And there's one that is now Ohio, which is just bad, which is funny. So if you have, it's either, I think it's Skibbity Ohio Riz was the order he said it. It means you have bad game.
Yeah.
Because Riz is your charisma, so you have bad charisma. It's like you have the charisma of a person from Ohio. But I need to go find that video to remember what the slang was, so that when people listen, they think that we know what we're talking about.
I still don't. You sent a message that said you need to say Skibbity Riz after this one, and legitimately I thought like maybe
that I typoed?
Harper was walking on your phone.
No.
There's nothing about
I'm going to
that.
find you this TikTok.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you to Following Water, Ohio, Skibbity Riz, and Rebecca Clark. We'll come up with something fun for that one eventually. You can follow us on social at Backpacker Radio on TikTok and Instagram, at Backpacker Pod on X, Facebook.com/Backpacker Radio. You can follow Chance
I'm on Instagram at Juliana_Chauncey, on YouTube at Juliana Chauncey, and you can get my book Hiking from Home, a long distance hiking guide for family and friends on Amazon.
Appalachian Trials and Pacific Crest Trials are my books. We would both be grateful for a review on Amazon.
Yes.
Subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on YouTube. What's up,
Hi,
YouTube? You can watch Chance almost flash me on this episode.
I'm wearing a shirt.
Yeah, a skin-colored shirt.
I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't remember what shirt I had. I've worn the sweater over it all day.
Yeah.
I just knew there was a shirt underneath.
I thought we were getting flagged on this one
Nope.
for sure. And that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much. Do you want to do your little thing? We'll save it for a future episode.
What's my little thing?
Your TikTok video.
Oh, I don't know which one it is, but it's
okay.
Mr. Lindsay, but SAY for Lindsay _ sped for special ed. His is the account where he teaches me Gen Z slang.
And there you go. Thank you so much for listening and happy hiking.
Bye.